All right, yo, welcome everybody. All right, this is we're seeing here the grand finals of a Lockout Bingo tournament. Took a little bit of a hiatus. Many of you might know that Andy needed a little bit of time, away to recover, but I think he's already ready to go, ready to face Gem here. Game one of the grand finals for Lockout tournament is going to be, for those of you who've seen Bingo in the past, extreme stress from basically negative -1 minute to go. Gonna be a lot of fun though. Dante, yo, how's it going? It seems like we were here actually just a couple days ago, right? That you were also streaming a bingo match between Andy and Gem.
Different tournament, but we drew triple bingo in that. So if you were here for that and you haven't seen this tournament yet, Lockout Bingo, very different in the sense that once someone completes a square, the others cannot go to it. So you see apples. Consume an apple is one of the squares. That's something we could do very early. The runners have agreed to do that last as goal number 13. So no one's doing that yet, just so you know.
Yeah, and also, like I think it was Andy versus the Lane. They also had this Pink Link and Pug agreement, just because that there are apples like right outside the tree in Sanctuary. So it's actually very, it's basically like who can basically save and quit, start at Sank and then run over fastest, and it's like it's a very almost kind of seems random at that point. So no need to kind of like increase more luck very early on. So but by the way though, so we do see actually some pretty common opening for bingo. Andy looks like, I assume there's gonna be some drop down goals here. Andy definitely getting like the drop down early and doing some Houlihan. You actually see that Gem actually did the Houlihan first, not gonna do that drop down yet, and Andy actually being a bit more of a completionist versus Gem only getting part of the rupees out. I think he's been through this rodeo once or twice before. He just needs some money maybe for bombs and probably actually for that gamble game.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll kind of see what they decide to do. I think both of these guys also have mic on, so we may get some commentary from Andy, whose audio we have currently. And I'm going to try and keep the score updated in their title cards for you. There's going to obviously be a little bit of spoilage when they click when they click the goals. They will be a little bit ahead from what we see on the stream. But Jin, we do appreciate the resub. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, and and that's also part of the, well, okay, some might call it charm, some might call it a feature, some might call it extreme stress inducing, in that typically for a rando you don't actually get to see where opponent is. That's kind of like one of the big things, right? Bingo, on the other hand though, especially when you mentioned this is lockout, when somebody gets a square the other person cannot get it, and you can actually kind of see in this case where your opponent kind of sort of is. You can kind of guess, right? Okay, so from the squares we already see Andy certainly gotten all four. He rushed the 4 drop downs, right? He marked that square, so Gem knows that he doesn't have to do that. But on the other hand, Andy knows that Gem has done both gamble games, so probably doesn't actually have to spend more time farming some monies early in order to do those. And you can kind of maybe guess where your opponent's sort is, right? For example, if you think that there's some Dark World goal and your opponent got it and you didn't, you're like, okay, well, they have Dark World access. Okay, if I still don't have Dark World access, like that means that maybe you can kind of suss out where maybe the rest of your Dark World access is based on where you haven't been.
Yeah, and it's really tough to kind of, I don't know, balance how you want to do this as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's a terrible game of like, the goals, there's just so many. What is Andy doing setting up a bomb? Oh, okay, he's drinking a goo. I see what he's doing. I was like, why is he bombing into, is this some new scuff tech? But it's just a scoring tech.
Yeah, what actually you can see in this case, right, so like so both Andy and Gem have 1 minute to kind of scout out the bingo square, the bingo board, to kind of maybe see what they can potentially get to, and 1 minute is just like when you're parsing anything new, it is not enough time to do anything. So you're just kind of try to scan out your things, see what early light world, sphere 1, easy goals that you can basically obtain, and then you try and go for those, and then as you're kind of playing the rest of the game, hope you can get a couple more glimpses of the bingo board to see what else you can kind of try and plan out your routes.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, so Worfcheck actually bring up actually a very interesting question. How do you die to catfish? Is that one of the goals here today?
I believe so.
Okay, all right,
So
well,
the way to do that, actually, if you get your item and then go back, he'll shoot a fireball at you. He gets mad because you just keep ticking him off and bothering him, and you know, he's like me. He doesn't want to get bothered. So when the difference is that fireball, you have to note that fireball only does a half heart. It doesn't do a full heart like most like Zora fireballs or, you know, the shooter fireballs.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, it was actually a very good point. I was actually going to bring up the other point where it was an earlier match between Gem and S&T. Gem learned the hard way that if you have a fire shield and you face Catfish when he's shooting a fireball at you, you cannot take damage because the fire shield will deflect the fireball. So then
Phenomenal.
you actually have to turn around, face not towards Catfish, and take damage. That, in fact, actually, that cost Gem the die to Catfish. S&T actually sniped the square from him because he couldn't die, and then he had to go reset the screen. Then by the time he got back, he was no longer able to take the square. So it was actually a very, very important lesson that Gem learned early on. So that's good. In this case, you know, we see the bingo finals. Runners get to learn, use all of their previous lessons and knowledge, right, in order to try and do something good.
I guess another thing to consider, Andy, a little excited to see that book. I see Enter Desert Palace using the book is one of the goals, so Andy probably headed directly there. Things to also keep in mind, they are playing a key sanity mode, so big and small keys are shuffled. The difference is, I believe it's a type of fad keys, so Castle Tower, I think, are vanilla. So
Correct.
they'll be,
yeah,
they'll be there. If we get that access, we'll see them potentially head on up.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's kind of one of the nice things. I actually thought the whole using a fat keys type of setting, especially for bingo, actually does take kind of the maybe makes things run a little bit smoother, right? Just because if you do need like AGA access, there are definitely a couple squares. Doesn't look like it might happen today, or at least for this game. But there is like defeat an Aghanim, die to Aghanim. You don't have to necessarily go scour the entirety of the world for 2 Castle Tower small keys, which is actually quite nice, and gives us Dark World access, potentially a little bit faster if you have that. If that's actually something that you potentially want to rush, right? Because you see maybe you want to try and get to Dark World as fast as possible.
Exactly. All right, with Andy up to 3, I'll tell you guys, this is not a big lead by any stretch with the way these races have gone. They get very swingy, especially near the end, so we'll see how things pan out. Jim on a route here. We'll see where he's headed. Probably gonna get a check of Lumberjack. I don't think either runner has seen this yet. No, I take it back. He is headed directly to the mountain. No 9 in his inventory, also known as the lamp.
That's right. Yeah, and looks like Gem is probably just more interested in potentially trying to get a little bit of extra knowledge, right? And as you mentioned, so we do have a glove to get up the mountain. However, it's not in logic without that lamp, and without really anything else like the mirror or like the hook shot. We can't really do too much more. But maybe Gem's kind of interested in trying to scout some things out, and given where in this case you can see Andy has already entered in Desert Palace, like with the book. He knows the book is out there somewhere, right? And Andy has been in Desert Palace, so maybe that's kind of he's trying to go to places where potentially the Andy hasn't gone to try and get a couple more players, right? Was also defeated Dead Rock up here because that's a perfect reason to come up here to the mountain.
All right, so Andy bonking around. Okay, he's a little upset. He mentioned Dark World there. I'm pretty sure it's because there's bees, and what he was trying to do was get some bees.
I see. Oh, and then but he needs Dark World access, or like it's only in Dark World. Is that what the tree happens to be?
Yeah, I think it's that specific tree in Dark World. So he wasted a little bit of time there, and you can see a little bit of frustration on his face. And neither one of these guys look as stoic as Delane did in the semifinals.
Oh yeah,
but
well, Delane was like, I believe you could even replace him with a picture, and you wouldn't be able to know the difference. That's
true.
How stoic he was.
Andy gonna have to be very careful, like not just in here, but if he comes out of here. Nice frame perfect.
Yeah, great. This is this is exactly you're too good at the game. That's what the game is telling you, that you can't do these frame perfect bomb drops. Hey,
all right,
look,
we got
Andy
double boots. I'm all about double boots. They go just as fast as regular boots, but now you have 2 of them. 3rd bottle already.
do you know how awkward it is to run with only one boot, Dante? I mean,
I
feels
do.
really
I
bad.
actually do. I've had a shoe come off while playing basketball, and it's really hard. I gotta say.
Basketball. Is this too soon? Is that the?
Nah.
Everything's fine, right? Everything's fine.
There's no Dante stroke daddy emotes here.
Oh. Yeah, all right. Well, speaking of bees, though, like, so Andy knows in this case, well, fun fact, we're going to find out together if you didn't already know this. There is actually, this is how you get a good bee. Regularly in the vanilla game, you can actually bonk this statue. And then, the good bee, it sparkles and it basically stays on the screen and kills everything for you, until, well, you end up catching or you leave the screen by itself. That's why it's so good.
I mean, it's sparkly. What's not good about something sparkly?
I know, right? I know,
Unless
right?
it's
Especially,
glitter.
Okay, you are correct. So glitter looks very nice so long as I don't have to clean it.
Ooh,
then
hammer.
it's great. Oh, but
that's got some glitter on it.
Oh, heck yeah. And actually, well, the fact that, the Annie, she going to the good bee cave, right next to Ice Rod Cave, actually is quite nice because you can actually, be pretty efficient here. I don't necessarily know if you wanted to come into Ice Rod Cave initially to begin with. I mean, it's very normal after Mini Moldorm, but certainly it was, something even more incentive in order to kind of get him over here.
Yeah, and let's see. Jim went ahead and defeated that Dead Rock. I missed that earlier. I know he was on the mountain, so I'm pretty sure that's when he got it.
Right. That was actually a very good reason, basically. Oh my gosh. Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. Well, Waterfall Fairy is suddenly paying out quite well. We got the mirror and we got Samaria. Andy's also gonna take one of his 3 bottles to refill with a magic potion. It's gonna be quite nice in terms of safety. It looks like Gem's also going to pick up the 20 rupee cave. I think there must be something, right? Lift 1, light world and dark world cave, something like that. Okay, can't quite
also,
see the square.
I guess I cropped poorly and we didn't get to see, or either Andy cropped poorly. Who knows? I'll blame Andy, but I didn't see what was on that ledge.
I also did not see what was on that ledge either. For the most part, I would say that, especially on times as critical as bingo is, especially for the early game, you really got to rush the goals as fast as you can, right? Because any kind of time you give up, it's that potential for you to get sniped. However, though, given that they both have flippers, actually probably worth their time to see what this item is, right? Because, if it's actually something important, and you are not going to come back for this thing. All right, but in this case, we're going to see what Gem's going to take a peek at. Ooh, it is a small key. He is going for the small key. All right, so this could be important. There are a lot of useless small keys out there, especially for bingo,
I mean,
right? A lot.
If this is swamp,
right, exactly. Like,
Andy's never going back, for that. So this has a huge dungeon, even without hookshot. So let's see what Jim is gonna get. It is not swamp, but it is a pod key. Also could have some implications just because, entering pod with 1 or 2 or even 3 keys, on first visit can make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right. So with 0 or 1 key, it's you kind of really can get the front stuff, but with 2 keys, especially I know in this case, Gem with a hammer could also mimic clip. You can't mimic clip with a hammer, but you can get further to the back, right, with the hammer and mimic clipping the bowlock side. A lot of potential to be able to get a lot more items back there.
I mean, you could try and mimic clip with the hammer. I don't know how well it'll work.
It would be quite an interesting new tech, for those scientists and labs out there. Certainly welcome to. I look forward to your results.
Sensational. All right, so did we see Hobo on Andy's side? I'm having a hard time remembering. Well, it's $1, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But if he hasn't checked that, that'll definitely be something he may go back to over time. We'll have to wait and see.
I am kind of surprised maybe that Gem actually makes the check to Hobo. It could be just a little bit earlier, it's in logic. Maybe there's going to be something good. But with the flippers and with the mirror, and potentially, just 1 or 2 pieces away from Dark World access, you can actually, get to Hope a little bit faster if you actually go through Dark World and then, take the bridge and the mirror.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I certainly understand in this case, if there is something, again, good on Hobo which is in logic, we can certainly go do something. With that mirror, though, speaking of, Andy's going to be able to come up here to Death Mountain, and where he's going to be able to do at least a little bit more, especially with the hammer. We can go to Hera.
Right.
We can go to Paradox, so certainly going to be, quite nice to be able to get a couple more checks in here.
Yeah, Andy's sequencing of these events just a little smoother than Jim's right now, especially if our Pearl is up here. Jim gonna get a Desert Small and a Big Key 2 Swamp. Andy not having that, so Jim doesn't have that book. I think that was on Sick Kid.
Yeah, that's right. And with like kind of no flute right now, it's a little bit just inconvenient to go back to Kakariko just because, I've already been there. Both, Andy and Jem have already kind of rushed there, and the fact that we don't really, have anything right now, like to kind of pull us back other than Sick Kid, isn't going to be, very high incentive for them to, go back, especially them.
So a bow early here inside Tower of Hera doesn't do anything immediate, but kind of nice to have. Like if Jim finds Big Key to Eastern inside of Eastern, obviously going back for potentially one item after getting that bow is not going to be the best thing, but if it becomes one of your 5/6s and you want to get to Pyramid Fairy, it's something to consider. There's a rod up there, and I want to say that was the ice rod. Yeah,
it looked like the ice rod. Yeah, but maybe in this case we can get like a clear, or someone in chat can kind of help us out. We have better eyes than us.
Maybe if
Andy?
the guy running the restream would have cropped it right,
No. I'm pretty sure you cropped it right this time around. I think Andy just was confident enough in his scouting that he's just going to assume it was the ice rod. By the way, speaking of terribleness, okay, so Andy, using that bow to great use, extremely superior to the hammer to get through Spiral Cave. Andy is certainly a great marksman. I know that because he's shooting all these. Holy cow! How did he test that and not get hit from those mini Moldorms? Okay, very, very talented.
All right, does he? Okay, he is not going to go through the lower. I don't blame him. A little risky. If you get hit by one of those red Tektites, you're just totally dead at 2 hearts. And that's a long trek back, and with 7 items here, you want to check this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, just kind of like an observational note for bingo. You are doing a lot of things. It just also does seem like you're rushing a lot more places and somewhat like lower health. It's not, I don't think it's necessarily intended because it's just like regular fad keys, but more often than not, you do seem to do, Jam's only on 3 hearts. He does a blue, both in the blue mail from the dam, but health total wise, you certainly, I don't necessarily expect a lot of bloat, especially early in this game.
Yeah.
Andy.
All right, just 2 items, Fire Rod.
All right, it's definitely confirmed now that it's the ice rod on, on Floating Island.
What if we're accidentally playing double rods, like from no logic?
Exactly, unless you tell me that the settings have changed and there are actually 2 fire rods out there. In which case, that will make some people very happy. That would also make some people probably less happy. Just saying.
All right, Jim gonna get his bow here in Tower of Hera. So they're pretty much, I'm going to say, item progression and checks, they're going to be pretty much even when all this washes out. Jim might actually be a touch ahead because, Andy invested that time to run over to Desert. But where is our...
Yeah, where is our Dark World?
Where is our Dark World?
We do have a cape for what it's worth, but we do need one of those pesky swords. I know that some people are very partial to swordless. I do believe, unless there were some shenanigans pulled in the C generation, there should be 4 swords out there. We need at least one of them in order to at least even do Aga. Not to mention, you mentioned something about that 9, that lamp. Yeah, we kind of need that too.
Yeah. So, we do have Backup Escape, which neither runner has done. Andy's doing this now. Other things to consider, Jim did get that Desert Small, so we could do, right side Desert. That's going to be pretty last location, I think, for Andy when he decides to go. Speaking of a sword, there it is.
Oh, wow.
So,
I don't know. Speaking of a sword, there's a small key to swap too with the Backup Escape. Oh, wow. Well, so speaking of, so we have Agax. Okay, so I guess we're still missing the lamp. So all right, talk about last location though for Desert Palace side. We actually still, so Jem still needs to go get his book from Sick Kid, right, in Kakariko. So yeah, I think you're right though. It'll be last location for both runners. Jem being a bit more brave here with that hammer, trying to swat those red Tektites out of the way, but it works. So. All right, so he's going to be able to get his fire rod here, feel a little bit more comfy. So for the record, with the fire rod, both Jem and Andy, I'm absolutely confident they're able to do Dark Aga. However, as you mentioned before, though, we do need that lamp. And so, without the lamp, while they probably don't need it, they probably still want some comfort in that this is, the right thing to do, right? I don't see any Agnum goals. So in order to get, Aga access, Dark World access via Aga might be, it's certainly an investment of your time, right? A couple minutes worth.
Yeah, the only really Aga goal is the die to Aga or catfish. So you have an either or there. You don't really want to bank directly on dying to Aga. That sounds kind of craptastic, if I'm being honest.
That's actually very true.
Oh wait, 3 blue balls. I'm hearing in chat. Let's see.
I do see as a center score you can take 3 blue balls as well. That is not the same thing as dying, but in this case, you know, if you want to take the position and saying that Aga is going to be your Dark World entry, even though we don't really have, like, we're kind of just looking for a pearl right now. And you probably actually want to have the pearl, but yeah, it's a goal that maybe you don't necessarily want to rush quite yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of, though, it looks like, so Andy, you know, I'm talking about potential last location for that Desert Palace, right side with the Desert Palace small key. Andy's going to do at least the front of escape. He did the back of escape along with Gem. We're going to do the front of escape now. Small key to ice. Okay. That's kind of nice for routing. And we got Samaria, so we can probably, and we got the hammer, so potentially we should do a good amount of stuff in there. But right now, yeah, we're looking for that lamp, potentially. Maybe a second sword for a master sword to make things a little bit nicer on us. Or we're looking for that very elusive pearl.
Yeah, pearl just kind of being missing right now. Jim smiling. What did we just miss something on race game?
We might have.
That might be our pearl. I
did not catch it on this time. Oh, was that the pearl? Oh, well then. All right, forget all this like Aga, you know, speculation. We also don't have the lamp, of course, but yeah, that's gonna be a Gem's ticket to Dark World. Gonna be the first one between himself and Andy.
That's huge for Jim though, because he's gonna be first in if he wants to get to catfish. Like at this point, you know, save and quit, hype cave, and run up.
Yeah. So right, you're absolutely correct. So in that. Okay, we're not actually saving quitting quite yet. We're going to do some other things. But yeah, as you mentioned before, even from past observations, whether it's early Dark World goals, right, that you can achieve, as you mentioned, you just die to catfish, something like that, pretty simple. Just getting Dark World access early is a huge advantage. You know, just from previous seed results, you could do so much more stuff. Looks like Gem's actually going to go into Dark World via Village of Outcast portal. Interesting.
This is a decision. I don't think it's a bad one, but I'm curious where he's going with it.
Same.
Also, I guess while we're kind of letting them run around, it is something we can state that the spirit of the rules with this tournament, when you complete a goal, you are supposed to intentionally mark it as you do it, not delaying it to try and, you know, fool or trick your opponent. So, you know, we will see how things pan out. There have been instances where Andy and other runners have actually kind of forgot, honestly. So yeah. I mean, and it's certainly, you know, so long as it's unintentional, you know, I think people are usually pretty understanding. But yes, like the intention is, you know, that and for what it's worth, if you don't mark the goal, I think that, you know, your opponent is well within his right in this case to actually to snipe it and take it away from you, you know. Oh, so. Yes, 100%. Yeah, and Sigma, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in.
All right, looks like we did have to buy something from Curiosity Shop. We got a bee. What is Gem? Gem is doing something with the bee. I was actually thinking that maybe he wanted to do the water walk out of Skull Woods, but this is also another viable way to catfish for what it's worth. I know that, you know, looking at, if you know any history of Gem, for him to know any way to efficiently get to catfish is probably, you know, not within, you know, the bounds of his mantra, but however, like, we're not going to catfish barely either after all this stuff. Okay, I think he wants to get the goal between getting the both light and dark worlds things, but in this case, yeah, he might end up just going back because there's a nice water portal, assuming he doesn't die too soon.
Well, I guess spoilers by seeing the board light up that he is not going to die while he picks this rock up. So
all right, sounds
potentially getting ready to tie the game up here at 5-5 as he heads to catfish. Andy not close to that, and honestly, even if he gets this pearl and goes straight to Dark World, not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, for sure. Right, as you mentioned, right, probably the fastest way once you get the pearl is actually just save and quit, go to Hype Cave, and then just run up, right? There's probably not going to be much difference, especially when we don't have an Aga portal. But, you know, Gem probably judging that, you know, maybe he has an early light world lead, especially, you know, he knows that Andy went to Desert early, bottom of himself a little bit of time. Going to try and get some of those other, you know, Dark World goals, early Dark World goals out of the way. It makes a lot of sense, for sure.
All right, so yeah, Gem on 2 hearts, going to have to get the item, going to also have to take another hit.
He's on blue mail, yeah, so he probably has to take a hit from something.
A couple
I think we'll
things,
only
a
do
bomb
one.
as
Yeah.
well, one of his own bombs. Big
Oh, does he have a
key
big key
to
too?
Ice Palace.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
I had to think about what dungeon that was on his tracker with the Thalane profile picture, but
Oh no. If it's the late, it should be reflexes at this point, Dante. You know, you shouldn't even need to think. All right, looks like. Oh, you know what? Okay, so I think Gem, you know, again from previous experience, he's
all
validating
set.
what you've said. Yeah, you know, you said the fireball only does half the heart, so maybe with blue mail, you know, he knows he has to take a little bit of extra damage. Just great on him.
He's in finals for a reason. He knows his stuff.
Oh yeah. And of course, yep. And you see that Gem did not face catfish, even though I know he doesn't have fire shield. You know, better safe than sorry. You know, just in case, you know, things don't, you know, malfunction at the very last moment.
Another compass for Andy. I'm not sure if compasses are one of our goals today. I'm having a hard time, obviously, remembering all of these at once and kind of taking them all in. Big key to this dungeon for Andy, so he's going to be able to open this big chest while he's here. I know we've got the 6 big chests as one of the goals. That'll be, I think, the first one for either runner.
So we actually got another pot small key too in Skullwood, so potentially that's going to be, you know, like pretty useful for Andy as well to go to the back with the bow. Of course, both runners have. It's going to be pretty, like a lot of items going to be gotten in pod. We have another pod key, it looks like, in Hype Cave. All right, pod keys galore, looking pretty good. Gem and Andy looking pretty rich at the moment, so we're going to be able to afford whatever we want, whether it's pod entry, whether it's Sora. We need a couple extra dollars, up to 700, in order to max out the bomb or arrow capacity. But you know, something
that gets
in this
expensive.
case, you know, yeah, but something, you know, money is actually pretty useful here in Lockout Bingo.
All right, 3 keys for Jim and the big as he heads into pod. Andy, meanwhile, has a flute and a master sword. So pod, or rather Skullwood's coming up big for him today. That's gonna get him potentially where he could break Ether or Bombo's tablet, but I'm assuming also gonna risk it right now and go ahead and beat this dungeon.
Yeah, so I do also see a obtain 3 crystal goals, you know, in the upper left-hand corner. And yeah, so of course Andy, he won the SGL 2023 online spoiler log version. He absolutely is probably comfortable. Probably this is gonna be too good for him even with this equipment. You know, master sword, 6 whole hearts, right? Fire rod, etc. Should be pretty good for him.
Ooh, another big key to Eastern.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay.
You know, I gotta correct you, Clear Mouse. I have to do it. He didn't win spoiler in 2023. He got second, but
you
know,
got second. Oh my bad.
Gamma took that one. Gamma took him down 2 times.
Right. My apologies. Oh, that's right. I do remember now. Yes. My apologies. Yes. Big congrats to Gamma. That was actually, those were quite the races. Like super tight. Oh man. Of course, just like Lockout Bingo, which is also really stressful to watch and play because everything's on low health percentage.
I like what Andy tried to do there, and now it's like biting him in the butt, but he was trying to use dash pokes there to knock the Gibdo into the spike, but now he's kind of in a little bit of a pickle. I don't know if he remembers it, but he does have a blue goo. Should be okay. Jim, meanwhile, going to give us...
He does have a B as well, I think.
If you use a B on both, it's either for a meme or it's you don't understand how damage tables work. That's my hot take. Oh, no, Andy.
Speaking of though, Andy is going to, I hope he remembers. Okay, you know what? He does not need a potion. He is just going to game.
Another thing to consider, Jim just got big key, I think it was in Shooter Room, but big key to Thieves Town. He'll be able to do that in one pass. We'll see if Andy decides to dive. Wait, I guess I'm wrong. No, I'm right. Andy's tracker just looks different. Okay. But yeah, I got that in Shooter Room for Jim, so we'll see if how Andy decides to route this at this point. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the Bombos check.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, thanks for correcting me, chat. I do remember actually now that Andy sold his good B for, you know, a little bit of cash, which is, you know, still, you know, good knowledge. But although speaking of like what we kind of found here in Skull Woods, you know, there's a reason why Dunka is a, you know, big proponent, of Skull Woods. In this case, we found a flute. We found the big key to Eastern, which means that if, in this case, Andy decides to clear out Eastern Palace with the bow and the big key, some people might also consider that to be completely dippable. And you know, if Eastern's a crystal, that is actually a very nice dungeon for Andy to be able to complete.
We also found the number 9 inside
Nice.
of pod
Nice.
in
Nice,
the back.
Yeah, nice lamp location. Good confirmation, of course, that we do not, in this case, need the lamp for dark for at least Aga Dark World entry.
Another big
Alright,
key to Hera. So pod having quite a few big keys today. I guess Jim gonna use his final key here. Gonna go ahead and decide to beat this dungeon.
Yeah, I think yeah, makes a lot of sense. We do have boots for some for setting up spin speed. So the first phase of Helmasaur is not going to be too terrible, and then of course we do have phase 2 is going to be we got the hammer. It should be fine. If you want to, you can also use the bow as a backup, but should be
Pod
okay.
and Eastern gonna be our 5/6s today. Andy gonna be able to do both of these whenever he decides to go over.
Yeah, it's actually going to be very efficient, especially with a pod key that's going to get here in Hype Cave. Going to be actually quite. I mean, it's going to push him probably even more so. And of course, with the $200, kind of topped off by the good bee sold from the bottle vendor, he is going to be able to get into pod no problem.
Okay, so Jim taking the long trek to the back of Palace of Darkness to find Potter's Helma himself.
Yeah, but the fact that Skullwoods is a crystal and that Andy is going to be here in Eastern and Pod, are going to basically, clear out the entirety of both dungeons. Actually, he's probably going to disincentivize Gem to, well, in this case, try to go for more crystals, right? Because he's going to see that Andy's going to mark off the thing. Now, for what it's worth, if we do see actually anything come up in the either Eastern Palace Big Chest or on Armos, probably actually going to be a pretty good advantage for Andy, just because I think the Eastern Palace Biggie was on Mothula, right? And so Gem may not want to go back there. I don't know. No, actually, no, maybe it was Bridge Chest. Either way, he doesn't want to go back to he doesn't want to go to the back of Skullwoods, right? So
yeah, and Jim doing a nice job there in phase 2 of Helma on that fighter sword hammer technique. So that'll be Crystal 1 for Jim. Heart Container for his troubles. Usually a Heart Container is kind of nice here in Bingo. That's one of the goals you can see pop up. But yeah, still pretty close. 7-5. The chaos from the beginning has kind of settled down. We're kind of like settled into a rhythm now. Both runners realizing this race isn't going to be over in the next 10 minutes. Sometimes you never know with these. Like with Bingo, it can literally be 40 minutes or an hour 40 minutes.
or longer. It's quite a mystery, basically, for the runners, for the viewers. Again, I think there's nonstop action. I think there's always this constant, like, looking over the bingo board to see in this case if something's light up, it's like, oh no, because once someone has taken one square, you cannot get that square. So you probably actually want to go turn around and go do something else. Actually, so talking about potentially maybe extending Andy's lead here a little bit longer, right? So you mentioned, 5/6 crystals are Pod in Eastern, which he's gonna definitely do. So now he's gonna get 3 crystal as a square. I also do see throw a bottle in Pyramid Fairy Pool as well.
Ooh,
so
yeah,
the fact
I didn't
that
notice
Andy's
that
gonna
one.
be able to do now, and yeah, he's gonna basically get another square. Yeah, so certainly I think you're looking, Andy's gonna be able to mark off at least 2 more squares after this. So this is gonna be looking pretty good. Although Gem, though, I think he's gonna probably he's on his way to make his own set of progress as well. He might have more big chests open than Andy. I'm not quite sure, but maybe Andy also take a lead here with Eastern Palace big chest as well.
Yeah, we'll kind of have to see what they decide. Jim could steal the key in Thieves. I've seen some runners do that and it pay off huge.
True. That's also very true, right?
Kind of depends what Jim's intentions are.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious to see what Gem, what he's trying to go for, other than maybe just trying to clear out some overworlds and maybe try to get some more direction, right? So from Andy's perspective, he's going to clear out Pod Eastern, he's going to go do Pyramid Fairy, and so that's kind of his next, 10 minutes-ish worth of game progress, right? For Gem, though, I'm not sure in this case might be what he is looking for. He might be trying to find Mitts in this case, because I think he saw Ice Rod as well. We do in this case have a freeze and burn the same enemy. So either, you know, if we can find a freeze source in this case, or the freeze ray, is that what the pedestal calls it these days? You know, we can actually, you know, be able to, you know, achieve that goal. However, though, we are kind of missing, you know, one, you know, pretty important piece. Jem, of course, he's also missing the book for what it's worth, right? I think he saw Andy go into the front of desert and break off Bombo's tablet. So he might be trying to figure out, like, well, where haven't I been? It was early Light World. You know, what location can have it? I think maybe Gina he hasn't been to. Sick Kid. Might be able to check Sick Kid after Thieves Town.
It's definitely Sick Kid where the book is. So, like, he just needs to mirror right after this if he wants to get it.
Okay.
I mean, you know, there's still that potential for progression to show up on that right side of desert. You know, Andy did 2 checks there, got the bug net on the ledge, but, like, you know, I don't know. I feel like the game, especially in Keys, is going to give you items where it kind of wants you to go more often than not. So
yeah, I'm actually wondering, though, in this case, if maybe Jem thinks that Andy got the small key to desert before he went over to desert. I mean, I think from the timing, probably not, just because it was a very big rush, right, to go to desert, and it was very early. But, you know, if he thinks that maybe there's even more disincentive for him to go there, because he needs to either go there for a better reason, right, not necessarily just to check 2 checks that Andy may have done. All right, looks like we are not going to steal the key, though, on Jem's side, as you know, potentially had one theory, you know, for postulation, but... Yeah, so we're maybe just gonna do like a regular, you know, full, quote-unquote, full clear of Thieves Town.
East Thieves Town, as it were.
Yeah, well, it is in the not east side of Dark World, but you know, we can pretend. It's fine.
I think Patrick coined it as Weast.
Weast? Oh, perfect. All right. Okay, so speaking of, we actually got some potential passive progression for another goal. So we're over the 700 rupee mark now on Jump side. We can actually max out our bomb or arrow capacity. Just like kind of dying to catfish, it was a little bit slower, but it is something that is still achievable. Right, and especially in this case, if he sees, you know, some of the things, like he's going to see Andy in a couple minutes mark off, you know, obtain 3 crystals, maybe he doesn't want to do any more crystal dungeons, right, and trying to do something that he knows he can get.
All right, we'll see. Andy got a 3rd pod key. I'm assuming that must have been on Armos night, because Jem doesn't have that one.
Jem has 3 pod keys as well.
Yeah, but Jem got one of his from Zora Ledge, so...
Oh, yeah, Andy's pod key came from Skullwoods.
Oh, okay.
Which hasn't been to. Speaking of, though, we got some nice, you know, break out your dance hover emotes. Very well.
It's
actually,
free.
No, you have a better one, right? You have easy
now.
Yeah,
dance free.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, both of them are kind of vying for this 3 crystals thing, and unfortunately, I think Jim is going to have a little bit of heartbreak unless something goes really poorly here in the back of pod for Andy.
Yeah, and you know that, especially with the 5/6 crystals, knowing that he can toss in something for the Pyramid Fairy, Andy is going to, if something terrible even happens to him, he's going to retry this dungeon.
Yeah, for sure. So Crystal 2 for Jim. Nice sip of Dr. Pepper, I assume, from an amazing mug.
The best mug, best drink. And for what it's worth, though, like, so even though Jem is going to see Andy Markov obtain 3 crystal goals pretty shortly, there is another separate goal for complete 3 Dark World dungeons. And the fact that Andy has Eastern, as opposed to Thieves Town that Jem has, he's actually going to be able to get that goal as well. Looks like Jem is going to head straight over to Skullwoods. So yes, you are, I think, going to be correct in that Andy is going to break Jem's heart, is going to snipe out the 3 crystals one, but Jem's going to be able to get the 3 Dark World dungeons at least.
Yes, so they're both going to score at this point. With just Jim probably going to be thinking, man, I could have got a 2 for 1 to tie it up, but you know, Andy playing good defense, I guess, in that regard. He don't know he's playing defense, you know, but
True. And actually, with the 5/6 crystal here, you know, as Jem's gonna get his 3 Dark World dungeons, I mean, I think Andy is just gonna rush Pyramid Fairy, right? Like, Andy might be able to think in this case, okay, so Jem, maybe if he went to pod first, right, he got the key Thieves Town, which means he's gonna get Skullwoods. Andy's gonna get Thieves Town as dungeons. He may not have Eastern, so, you know, let me at least, you know, let me go get that before maybe Jem decides to try and go back to Eastern, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, so 8-5, getting ready to be 8-6. I have faith in Jim right here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Now he is not here, so he just rushed the back for sure, which makes a lot of sense. Again, he's going for the dungeon completion goal, and of course the crystal goal that is now no longer available to Gem. So he doesn't have the master sword, so he's gonna use the hammer, but he's got blue mail. You know, Gem also of course runs a lot of spoiler log as well, and so you know I certainly did not imagine this fight being an issue for him.
All right now he's not okay. Just did mark it, so. I'm glad he didn't forget. Yeah. I got worried.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure exactly what the exact time you're able to mark these things. We can actually maybe go back to the VOD to actually review what the thing. Maybe it's on Crystal Catch or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But if it actually comes down to it, we can actually we certainly ask an admin to kind of retime things and look at things for us.
Ari in chat is saying on sword up.
Sword up. All right, thank you, Ari. All right, okay, so that is the big key to Eastern for Gem. So I'm glad that in this case that he at least will have the option of doing Pyramid Fairy in that second crystal. But I think maybe after he sees that Andy is going to mark this Pyramid Fairy off.
A chuckle from Andy there with seeing that lamp, and then we'll be able to see next dark room we go into.
That's right, that's right.
So this will be big chest number 3 for Andy.
He has Skullwoods big, he has Eastern big, and he has Pod big, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think those were the only dungeons that we have been to. Okay. Gem, I know, also has a Tower of Hera big key that he got from somewhere that
Thieves Town. I believe it was Thieves or Pod, but Andy probably right here. Yeah, this is the Hera big.
Okay, so that's gonna be that will potentially be big chest number 4 for Andy. Looks like okay. I remember also Jen picking up a big Ice Palace as well.
Trying to think things through, Andy has the opportunity to he has the opportunity here to do what I talked about Jim may be doing in Thieves Town. He could, sacrifice that key to get that big chest. Maybe the small key just shows up for him and he doesn't have to consider that. But, both of them do have the Swamp Big. That is another opportunity for them. Andy going to go ahead and go for this, what he's hoping is a guaranteed score with the big bomb for the pyramid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but actually talk about that Swamp Big Key. I didn't even think about this. So we actually do have Swamp Palace entry, right? We have the flippers, we have the mirror, we don't have a hook shot, but we do have entry inside.
Yeah, and Andy's got three opportunities. So Swamp, Thieves, and Hera, which would give him his 6. Jim, not quite so fortunate, though. Okay, he's mirroring here too. I was like, did he get the small somewhere? But he's gonna just activate his flute, which I think Andy still hasn't done.
Yeah, I was even gonna think this too. I was like, did Andy not activate his flute yet? Because I don't remember seeing that. Also, Andy is going to drop off the big bomb before he decides to go up and check the pyramid.
I like that we just walked by the goal. And then we did it. So anyway, small key to TR and 3 bombs is our reward today.
I think that's our first TR small key, right? Don't actually used to see those too often. Gem still has not mirrored, by the way, to go get Sick Kid and book. Just saying.
We don't need a book where we're going.
Literacy is overrated, especially when you don't understand, in this case, anything that the book is telling you. Ooh.
I think you get this. And I think, he's not. I was like, I think you get it. Like, you go do the capacity thing, but that's such a time investment. Maybe you put that off. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's certainly kind of available to you, but again, it's also kind of a longer check or a longer goal, right? Even though you have the money, all the times you have to run in and out and actually buy the thing, it does, cost a good amount of time as well. So maybe Gem is trying to maybe hedge his bets, looking for something else that is kind of close by. We do have another small key too.
Palace of Darkness.
Okay, Pod.
So that could give him a couple more checks there if he goes back for Eastern. Because, something could bail him out there, like maybe the mitts. Andy probably never going back to the pod area unless it's, last location.
Yeah, so Dante, this is actually a great segue because I am actually just wondering, where do you think these myths are, Dante? They seem to actually be blocking actually quite a bit of stuff.
Ooh,
Well, speaking of,
I mean, the
that
game's
temper sword's super
playable
nice.
with a tempered sword,
The game
so
is omega playable, yes.
I mean, there's some memes I've heard in the community that the mitts are always in Swamp Palace. Not a glove, but the mitts, they're always there. So I kind of have to say Swamp is probably where they are.
Even more so because the memes also say that there's always a sword in Swamp, and honestly, like if we've already found 3 swords, what is the game going to replace the sword with? Another glove. So maybe there are 3 gloves actually, in Swamp today.
It's possible.
I can't wait.
Quite possible.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jem's thinking. All right, this actually might be the Swamp play then. I can't see there's much more that he wants to go do. And yeah, like probably the biggest disincentive to kind of dive Swamp, especially if well, one is going to be kind of like left side Swamp, but also just no hook shot. We are not even going to be able to specky clip in and save ourselves a little bit of time. We're gonna have to drain the water. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
I can't even fathom
what year
this.
is this, Dante?
I don't know. So Andy's in a weird spot. Like, do you go activate that flute finally and then do the thieves play to get the big chest, or when do you decide, do I take the square and the time commitment to maybe do AGA 1 and 2? Or, because you can't go to 2, obviously, yet. So that's a thing on your mind. The tile rooms, we don't really have an option for Dark World, so why waste the time in Light World? There's just so many opportunities, and none of them are good at this stage.
Yeah.
Like, Jim showing us a bad opportunity here, but pulling out the Ether Medallion.
Okay, we're leaving. Yeah, we're leaving immediately because that is our freeze coin in this particular case.
And he can do it right here. Like, yeah, he just has to do it right here, and that's going to get him. I mean, he could go 2 here, or 1, I guess, because I didn't know the Ropa just up and passed away.
Apparently, I also did not realize this either. I thought the Ropas actually did freeze. Maybe you need the... Okay, we're learning all these different... I've learned so much from watching Bingo for what Ether does and what Ice Rod does, and what things can burn and what things can't burn and what takes damage, and oh man, that's a lot of, you learn a lot of new things here in Bingo. Speaking of though, okay, we have confirmation that Andy in fact did not activate his flute, even though he got it like 20 minutes before Jeff. But it's all fine. He hasn't necessarily, I would say, lose that much time. I mean, yeah, like he could have like fluted to Pod instead of going through like the regular, like Hype Cave Dark World version, but then you would lose out on Hype Cave. So, I think it all works out.
Yeah. All right, so Andy headed to Village of Outcasts. I mean, I think Jim coming to Swamp here, maybe he's kind of been weighing this out, just kind of seeing how things have been panning out, but like I don't want to say playing his outs because I don't think he's, like against the wall yet, but definitely metagaming, I think, a little bit to kind of think where Andy has been, and what his best plays could be to find something Andy doesn't have. I mean, we already saw it pan out once with this Ether pull, so...
Yeah, and especially in this case, right? So there are going to be a couple other luck-based ones, or just because in this case, like for example, if and when Andy or Jem finds the shovel, that's going to be another goal, right? You literally just find the shovel, and then next opportunity, go outside to the overworld, and you just start digging, But also kind of depends, right? Sometimes it just kind of depends on where you decide to end up going. The fact that Andy nor Jem have marked off the dig up something 3 different items square means that they're going to try and go to places that the other person hasn't, right? Because if you're going to retrace somebody else's steps, you're not going to basically find new opportunities to mark off bingo squares.
Yeah, exactly. And tracing each other's steps is fine, and normal bingo will say, but lockout, not so much.
Yeah, and actually speaking of, right, you mentioned there's a potential for Andy to maybe not be blind, right? And actually just open the big chest as well. So, he doesn't have to go through 3 Dark World dungeons anymore. He doesn't need any more crystals. I mean, that big chest is looking mighty, mighty attractive here. Speaking of not attractive, though, we are seeing Jem do left side swamp. Maybe the hook shot's over here, and Jem will guess correctly, so he doesn't have to drop down a second time.
You guys are in for a treat, though.
Opium?
Seeing Jem on left side swamp is a rarity.
Yeah, that is actually very true.
I don't think you guys realize how rare
Yeah,
this opportunity is for
Left side
us.
swamp, catfish, all of these things that you literally never ever see on Gem stream ever. We did not guess correctly if the hookshot was here. Gem will have to. Well, we did get some, some nice matching shield to go with our sword. However, though, that was not the hookshot, so we have to go drop down again. We got another. Do you think Gem can hover out the gap between the left and the right chest in Swamp Dante?
What? maybe.
No,
we can try.
He's like a sip of his gamer mug, that Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, Jim shaking his head there. He knew. He was like, man, left side swamp. Why am I here? Nothing of value.
Very, very
Does get the big chest, so like he gets a point on the board for that ether. But Andy is making that big chest play here. So pretty sure
very understandable.
We're going to see Andy go to swamp right after this. And that's good for Jim because Andy's probably going to check everything. And then that's going to, give him that time back. The mitts are just here the whole time.
Right next door. We had so easy. We got the mirror and waterfall fairy so early, and it's just like Maze
That's
Race,
huge.
right? When both people, both Gem and Andy, pretty much, I won't say last location that pearl, but it was they did a lot of light work before going to Maze Race.
I mean,
so
Jim's in a really good spot now. Like he's gonna get multiple goals. He could get the 6 big chests literally, I think, right here.
Which 6 chests does he have, though? So
you're right. He doesn't have... He has Pod Big. He has Skull Big. He does not have Thieves Big.
Right. He doesn't have Thieves Big. He doesn't have Eastern Big. And it doesn't have Hera Big. So I think, actually, Andy's actually in probably a better position right now to go get the big chests. But of course, then Andy still has to, get to the rest of the big chests as well.
He can get the pull. He is going to get the pull... a tongue, statue. So that's good.
Yeah.
There's the 6th key for Pod too.
That's
so
a lot of Pod keys. Very early.
There's
makes
probably
you
a reason.
Wonder. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really makes you thunk.
And think. All right, which is a hard
I never think.
Yeah. there's always new opportunities to think and thunk and think. Thunked.
All right, so Andy gonna be like, all right, how did he pull a tongue statue? And as soon as he walks in here, he is gonna know.
Mm-hmm. Very stoic, though. No reaction on Andy's side.
Nodders.
I forgot to actually watch Jem's reaction for when he got the mitts.
He kind of shook his head a little bit, like, because it's just right here the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Did he just skip Stumpy? I think he just skipped Stumpy.
I
think
sure
they both
it's not
did.
important. Yeah, I'm trying to remember in this case if Gem actually went to Stumpy either. I think Gem just left after mitts. Yeah, and I think probably Andy seeing like, okay, I got mitts now. I need to go do stuff, and Stumpy probably is not going to be worth my time, even though it is kind of literally right there.
Andy still hasn't done the dam either. Amazing.
I'm wondering actually in this case if Gem's going to do the capacity fairy stuff now. Yeah, looks like it. Very nice routing. Yeah, and plus the 300 from Ice Pal's big chest probably is the thing that is probably going to push him over in order to go do something. Okay, so this is going to be tied up, as you said, 9-9 shortly afterwards. Yeah, again, so I mean this race has certainly been quite tight and close pretty much the whole time. We did say Andy take an early lead on 3-1, but as you mentioned before, the 3-1 quote-unquote lead means very, very little, right? I think Gem was also the first one to get to Dark World access. Gem is the first one to get to mitts. Andy has found a significant amount of really good stuff before Gem got him some early goals, but now we're progressing. We're progressing now. Everything's tied up. We got 6 more goals potentially to go get between these guys.
Yeah, eventually Jim will be done here with this, but it is a long time investment. Now, both of them have the Aga play on the table, so that's a point for either one, but not for both, obviously. Man, the tile room is an option if we can get into Mire. So, or TR at this point.
It's true. That's true. Yeah.
But, you know, you got to pick your poison. You also have to potentially do a tile room like desert. And then there's not even an item after the fact with that. But we are at 10-9 now. Andy getting his 6th big chest is going to go ahead and finish out, it looks like, Swamp Palace. So that's good for Jim. More time for him.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of... Well, so I think based on when...
Never mind.
Oh, well, I mean, this is a great time save then for Andy because, you know, like there was nothing over here unless I swamp that we care about. I'm actually trying to wonder in this case if Andy thinks that Jem went to the swamp early and froze the enemy with the ether that Jem got, or he went up the mountain with the mitts and got the ice rod, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of curious. I don't necessarily know if it's clear from Andy's perspective. And so, you know, I don't know if that necessarily like factored into whether or not he wants to continue on a swamp, but I mean, honestly, like left side swamp without the hook shot is terrible, so.
Yeah, and Meyer entry is Bombos. Andy has that, and I don't remember where he got it. So.
I also do not remember.
This looks to be...
Are we both here in tile room? Oh,
tile
no.
roomies.
Yeah, oh wow. We are racing tile room. What content? Exclusive Lockout Bingo content here for all this.
See, this is what kind of really sucks. Like, Jim is investing this time. I hate this for Jim so much because, like, we're sitting here watching both screens. Like, he's like, this is a good play. But Andy has the medallion he needs, so...
It is a good play. I mean, it doesn't change that it's a good play. We just know that it is not going to work out for Jem.
Yeah,
right?
and
that's
you hate to see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tile room 1 done for each runner. Man. Chat, do you guys know where Bombos was?
Yeah, I also don't remember where Bombos was either. This was... where was Andy? Was it Hera, maybe? That's one of the places that Andy has gone to that Jem has not.
It's possible. So,
I thought
all right.
Armos was a heart piece or arrows, or it was something like it was something useless.
It was early, is what chat's saying. I'm gonna take their word for it.
Okay, all right.
Those of you watching potentially on YouTube later or something are gonna just be like, "Well, I could scroll back and tell you," but
yeah.
We appreciate your efforts.
All right,
right
see
side
what,
of desert.
We could have gotten, yeah, like 2 minutes basically into this game. We saw 20 rupees and
there's
a
that
gold
sword.
All right, so I'm probably not going to be useful. Oh, Hyrule Castle front. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that also does make a lot of sense too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was also a location that in the case that that Andy had gone, that Jem had not. And yes, Bombos will show up on Jem's tracker. It is probably... It's so fitting, maybe not necessarily for this specific tournament, but it is like the memeiest tracker you will ever see in Link to the Past random.
Between Jim and Teto,
is something.
That's
true.
They have
Teto's
some
track is also pretty amazing.
Really quality trackers between the two of them. All right, so yeah, let's look at the path here. Ghoulie, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate you. Let's see,
yeah,
or rather, Skippy gifting a sub is what that was. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Enjoy the emotes. But yeah, Andy gonna get his 11th here. Jim probably gonna shake his head a little bit because, I mean, he probably can get into TR. I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say he can. Yeah, Jim showing a little bit of frustration there.
Yep, that's the reaction.
Okay,
and
he can't.
Actually, we cannot get into Turtle Rock. Okay, so we're actually missing some potential pieces here. You know, Jem still doesn't have the book from Sick Kid that we saw Andy get, and that was his Desert Palace entry. But we've already seen everything else that the book could lead to on Andy's side, which is pretty useless. But we are instead of missing that Bombos medallion, which will let him get into both Meyer and Turtle Rock. So where are we going? Is this going to be the Aga play from Andy?
this is Aga for 12, and then it's going to be Apple Bapple to finish it off. So
you are correct, dude. How do I not look at these numbers next to Andy and Jem's name?
I feel bad for Jim. Like, he was on such a good path and everything was coming up Jim. Just, here it is, last second, Andy gonna, get the last piece of the puzzle he needs in time. Now, it's not over yet. Like, this game may be mostly decided, I will say. Andy's just kind of on the path right now. But there is going to be a game 2. This is a best of 3 series. Jim could take game 2, and then we don't have a champion today, and we get to wait and see another day when they can decide it with game 3. So, I mean, if you're me, and I'm me, I'm pulling for Jim in game 2 because I want to see some more bingo because it's crazy and chaotic.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And for the record, for those of you who are actually hoping that there could be a triple a header today, I believe Jem and Andy have already agreed that it is only going to be games 1 and 2 today. You know, certainly it's been quite the blast and entertaining to watch these guys play bingo. To go through all the stress of playing 3 games, not only just even like bingo games, but just rando games back to back to back is very, very trying. So we're
for
very
those
happy
of you,
to be able to have a double header here.
For those of you here, you know, that watch Andy frequently, I mean, I remember he did do a triple header with P-Train earlier in this tournament. And I want to say one of his quotes about that where it was, never again.
Never. That's a great lesson. Yes. Take it to heart. Everybody, I know that there have people have been doing triple headers or whatever in the past. I mean, I believe it was nothing but regret always. So, you know, you do not need to experience the personal feelings in order to take someone's advice in order to not do a triple header.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jim headed back to... He got the desert big.
Yeah, this could be the Desert Palace big key, or it's a big chest to look at. Chances are the front of escape is probably not on the cards for him. You know, just again, like at this point, he probably thinks that Andy's already been there. We know that that's, or at least we think it is, that's where his Bombos medallion is. But yeah, he won't go there until when he doesn't really have many other options left. All right, but yeah, Andy though, nearing his 12th square, and yes, as maybe some people have asked about, and I'm reading the chat pin right now, runners agree to do apples last, so once in this case Andy gets that 12th goal that he's gonna get, then he can actually go and munch on the apple, and then he's going to take game 1. All right. Speaking of other riveting tile room or esque games, Andy is waiting out Aga for the energy ball so we can actually get not just we don't actually want Dark World access. We are actually trying to get as many blue balls as we can, or 3, you know, whatever. Also, I can't believe that Jem maxed out the bomb capacity, not the arrow capacity. I don't know what he was thinking. I'm just saying, for the record.
I mean, he knew where he wasn't going.
Until he went here.
Yeah. He had no intent of, in finals, doing bow landmos. I'm sorry for clear mouse, but no.
It is okay, you know, but maybe the fact that Andy has, in this case, marked his goal completion means that maybe he won't use, you know, the fire rod. Although it does not look like that we're going to get that knowledge in time, because here we are with the gold sword, with the fire rod. We're going to take a quick Desert Palace clear. But that's GG's for Andy. Big congrats. Nice, quick, fast, intense game of 1 hour.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice finish time.
I'm
glad this thing did not drag on to like 2 hours. That's
me too. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to let the runners take a break. We're going to stay live. We're going to let them get set up. Not going to do interviews for this particular race. And then we will be back when they are ready. So sit tight, and we'll see you guys in just a bit.
All right, we are back. Welcome. I hope you guys had a nice short break. Maybe get some water, get some drink. Dr. Pepper is recommended.
Okay.
For those of you interested in watching Game 2 between Andy and Jem, Dante and I are back here for this exciting, at least finale for the day. And as you might have been here from Game 1, Andy is up 1-0. He did manage to get his Apple reward at the very end. So he is definitely looking to close this one out and become, the grand champion of Bingo, at least for Lockout. Jem, though, he lost to Andy in Mystery PogChamp Triple Bingo, which was Andy's idea. He lost now to Game 1. He is very much interested in taking his revenge and extending this, to a best of 3 for Game 3 tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, sometime.
I mean, it'd be nice if it was tomorrow. I'm ready to go. It looks like they are. We got some Jem audio right now. We'll leave it on Jem for a bit. I think he's got a restream safe pack, we'll call it. But yeah, Game 2. I'm gonna use some terminology from college basketball. It's hard to beat someone 3 times in a row. It's almost impossible.
Ooh.
And I like to compare randomizer. I like to compare randomizer to college basketball in some instances, just because there's always this factor of anybody can win on any given day. So we'll see how this pans out in this third matchup between these two, even though it's only Game 2. So
it is right. That's right. It's their third bingo matchup, but from different tournaments. So who knows what really counts these days for technicalities. But that's actually very interesting statistics you brought up, though, Dante. I had not heard that one before. So here we go. We're actually seeing Jem actually being extremely thorough, getting every single rupee available to him in Houlihan. I think Andy might be doing the same thing. We definitely saw him do that last time, but in this case, time maybe not necessarily is of the complete essence in this particular case. But we actually can see Andy doing something very similar before. He did rush Hyrule Castle, Uncle, and Secret Passage early. We see Jem, on the other hand, we're rushing Maze Race because, fun fact, that and Gamble Game, maybe. We just see Pearl on there last time. This is going to be a very common one. All right, so looks like we're just get our regular opening starts to the Gamble Game. Andy's going to do his drop downs. No bottle here. That was actually a really big advantage for Andy in Game 1 early, because it led him a complete Kakariko full out. We talked to Sick Kid and get the book. Let him get a desert. Just kind of, onwards and upwards from there. But yeah, just a little bit of cash from Andy's side for Uncle this time.
Yeah, and honestly, really doesn't matter who you are. Playing 2 games back-to-back is always tough.
Oh yeah.
Seed bleed's a very real thing, especially when it's so chaotic. Both runners getting an early score on the board here. 1-1. 13 is our goal.
Yeah, and it's actually, not surprisingly, it is actually the same first 2 squares that both Andy and Jem got in Game 1. Andy certainly rushed the drop downs, and of course Jem, rushed the gamble game. Seems pretty, I'm sure Andy would absolutely love a repeat of at least the result of Game 1. Now, Jem, at some point needs to get some more divergence if he really kind of hopes, in this case, to force a Game 3.
Yeah. Now, one thing to note, Andy, hammer up here.
Nice hammer.
I'm not sure when Andy's going to go up there. If he finds some stuff here in CAC, it could push him away from it. But, I mean, he has found some things, but, obviously, nothing of value. Oh, man, and the tree pull for Jem, the 8 bombs. Yeah, right as Andy spent $50, money's so essential. Especially if, and I say if because I haven't got all the goals memorized and I can't read them this quickly, but if, the capacity fairy is yet another goal.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of bombos, that completely eluded Jem and actually did lead Andy to 1 tile room of victory on his side. There is bombos. We don't have a sword yet, so we can't actually use it. However, though, bombos is actually going to be something pretty useful. I haven't also scanned all of the goals yet. If we have another, burn and freeze an enemy, bombos is certainly very, very handy as well.
All right, back at Thieves Town here for Jem, and by Thieves, I mean Blind's Hut.
It's pretty. It's blind. It is a Thieves Hut, right? It's just in Light World. That's all.
Jem has said something exactly as Andy found it, but he said, "What if I just find Dark World here?" And he's going to. As soon as he bombs this open, he's going to have Dark World, and then the thing's wide open. What do you do? And this
my
is
gosh, you're
good
right.
for
You're absolutely
Jim
right.
if Andy decides to save and quit out of Blind's Hut. Let's get the Pog.
Oh my god, it is Dark World.
My God, it is Dark World. That's what
It
Jem
is
just
Dark
said.
World.
All right, well, yeah, but you know, actually, so we actually did see in this case that once, you know, a person gets to Dark World, while Jem did not necessarily win game 1, he was able to get a ton of early Dark World goals. So certainly the first one to Dark World is going to be, you know, kind of have quite the advantage. Yeah, I'm kind of curious now to see, you know, maybe Andy will actually go back up north to do, you know, to finish up Lost Woods. You know, versus Gemma's gonna finish up Kakariko and then just head straight back on up to the Dark World portal.
Oh, he's going down.
Ooh, all right.
Game
What is
over,
actually done
baby.
here? No,
Game over.
Game over. No. Okay,
Uncomebackable.
I know you're rooting for Gem because we can get a game 3. You know, I fully understand. You know, just saying. We're gonna keep our hopes up, right? In this particular case.
Nah.
Powder. Powder.
Ooh, powder's kind of bad to get there, and like you were just there. All due respect, obviously not game over, but
Continue. Whatever. Keep going.
I personally want a game 3, right? Because we want as much content from Andy versus Gem as possible. This is like extremely nice matchup. You know, obviously guys have been around for quite some time, but also, you know, they're just like amazingly good. Probably, you know, two of the best people in the community to watch as a heads up. Runner,
do you
but
see?
talking about progression and maze race chat paying out twice. On 2 Cs, we got the fire rod here on Andy, so we got burn baby burn everywhere, apparently. Yeah, so yeah, you know, talking about this case, when Andy's gonna go check Lost Woods, it might be right now since we're going, you know, we're starting from Sank, but when is Jem gonna go check Maze Race, dude?
That's gonna be a while.
Oh my gosh.
I was hollering about it, and he's got a book. Is Desert a goal?
Desert Paladinry? I'm looking right now.
That works.
Well, we're rushing over here. Oh, I mean, this might be money farming.
No, he's getting part of that goal.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Bottom right square, enter desert. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Oh, is Andy going up the mountain here? He's getting some money. That's a good idea. All right, so Jim on the board with number 2, gonna take the early lead. I mean, the one who took the early lead last time won. I'm leaning in heavy to this. I know.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, yeah, we definitely saw. You know, Andy was the first one in game 1 to go into Desert Palace with the book. You know, again, Jem is doing what he needs to do. You know, to try and turn this game 2 streak around. You know, from basically the game 1's results. Yeah, and to answer Warpchick, the hammer is in Lost Woods. Jem went there first, got the hammer, got Dark World entry in Kakariko. We also have some PRNG here. Do we have a bow?
That's a bow.
On Uncle last time?
No, it wasn't an old man.
Right.
It was in Hera.
Okay. Right,
it was in Hera. It was
pretty
close by. You know.
You're right. It was very close. Well, speaking of, though, maybe Andy's going to hope that Hyrule Castle is going to pay out for him. Looks like that is exactly where he is going as well. Game 1, it certainly did pay off very well because he got Bombos there.
Going to the Dark World.
We're not going to the Dark World, apparently.
We're not going to the Dark World. Probably because maybe he thinks if he's watched Andy, he knows Andy probably doesn't do Lost Woods. So maybe he thinks I have a little bit of an advantage right now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I mean, that fire rod certainly, I think it should make Andy feel pretty good. I mean, given, I think, what he's seen, Jem do in the past, well, we're certainly not going to go check Maze Race now for quite some time. The fire rod's going to be quite... Oh, that's right. Actually, speaking of, Jem actually was the one who got defeat or kill a Dead Rock in game 1.
Last time. I think Jim's on the way to do it right now, and...
Oh, well, we're flipping. Are we leaving? Yeah, you see that. See, that's the bonus of being able to see the board, yeah? Like, you saw Andy get the goal, and then Jem...
He's got the old man!
Fuck. I thought I wasn't dead.
Hilarious. Okay, well, this is gonna be good for him, for Jem, and that he isn't gonna get a bow out of this at the very least. But yes, so
I want to hear what Jim's gonna say when he gets this bow, though, because he was so set on just bailing.
He got the bottle on his way here too.
Okay, no excitement for the bow. I mean, he was
Good.
determined to leave it behind.
He absolutely was. Yeah, and yeah, just PSA for those of you who have not necessarily played this game. So you are not expected, obviously, to go through Old Man Cave and rescue him without the lamp. However,
Let's go back one
given
step
that, if you do not, if you somehow die or something, to dead rocks or fall into the pits or something, once you picked up the old man, you have to finish rescuing him. So if you're not necessarily comfortable with dark rooms,
Dead
maybe
rooms.
not necessarily, you recommended that you try and rescue the old man there.
Dead rooms happen a lot. You're kind of right with
And
that.
That's true. With that situation, immediately, I agree. All right. Well, looks like though Andy's gonna take an early lead because we actually did get the
That was a
bottle.
good decision.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
chug a lug on his side.
Yeah, just like game one actually from last time. Andy ended up scoring a bottle, bought a potion from the shop, and then immediately drank it. We actually do have our ice rod today. Ooh, coupled with bombos in chicken. Did Jem not do chicken hot? Oh my gosh, dude. It's
wait,
hilarious. I
Wait,
think
what
Jem
was?
didn't do chicken hut. That was
Oh
bombos.
my god. Okay.
And then fire rod was a maze brace. Now, of course, again, these guys don't have a sword yet, so it's not like he can necessarily use it. But if you wanted to do something with that.
Right, now
with
Jim,
bombos.
still
Oh
like
my
the
God.
chaos early on here. Like I'm having a hard time keeping this thing updated.
Yeah. Oh, we have four. Okay, what is this tiny text in that middle left, middle right?
It's
Buy
a lot.
An item at one and buy an item from Light World and from Dark World. Okay, and then release one bee
That's nice
and
to
one
catfish,
fairy
right?
bottle, not by dying.
Not
Okay,
imagining that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stipulation is not you can't do potion shop or bomb shop. Things that would be required for other things. Now this is going to be a water walk setup, or rather,
hope I
take
can
that
make
back,
my back.
a fake flipper setup.
Even to this rock, honestly. I might just get fucking murdered.
He might get murdered.
Okay,
It's
yes,
very true. This can be really
It's
rough with
scary.
RNG,
It's
but he's
really
got a
scary.
favorable pattern. Oh, he does get out of there though.
Yeah, you also see his red potion, by the way, on his white item, just in case. So he could take one hit from the bomber. That's kind of it, though.
Yeah.
So at least he wasn't, in a terrible position. All right.
So
okay,
Jim
we got-
with a little bit of an early lead, 5-3. Andy didn't leave that hammer behind for too terribly long.
Yeah, we're actually checking Stumpy at this quiz. Oh, we got a big heated pod. That's actually a pretty nice find. We also do have one pod key. Andy does have enough money to enter pod as well with the bow, with the hammer. Looking like we actually make some pretty good progress in pod. if
Yeah,
you
I
want
mean,
to go
you
there.
could beat it. It would be awkward, but you could.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we do have the fire rod to actually help with the dark rooms at the back. Not logical, of course. I mean, we're using logic. We need a lot more stuff. Nice
Jim's-
job, Andy, showing off the arrow game. And yes, if you do this quickly, you can actually get the 99 bonus, which is, you mentioned before, right, in bingo, how important money is. Yeah, I mean, if you can actually farm a little bit more, for less time, it is completely to your advantage.
Now,
We're
while
also going
Andy
to
is
catfish?
X99ing it up a second time, we're going to get the death to catfish. Jim's going to get up to 6 in the first 12 minutes.
I am amazed that, of all people, we see Jem going to catfish twice. We got a sword on catfish.
Jim absolutely
God.
bailed out. I told you, Clear Mouse. It's hard to do.
I cannot believe the luck in this game. Maybe bingo. If Jem ends up winning bingo, in games 2 and 3, maybe this will be the thing that changes his mind on how valuable catfish is. And when in 2024, we're gonna see him brush catfish. Like every single seed, basically.
I doubt. I seriously doubt. So the early chaos is kind of out of the way, I want to say, since especially, they're waiting to do apples for the very last goal.
Bomb open a cracked floor. I have exactly enough money.
All right, so Jim going to pod this game.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah, we also saw him rush pod last game as well. And he did end up, I think, going... No, I think him and Andy both ended up going with the same number of keys. Just got their keys from different sources. But yeah, looks in this case, bombing a cracked wall, especially that's on the bingo board. It's a very nice early game goal. I mean, hopefully you'll have enough, you'll have enough pod money, especially with the early hula hand. You'll probably be in pretty good shape. But I mean, it's one of the first things you can kind of access in Dark World.
Yeah.
So it's certainly very reasonable for him to go after that one. But Andy, though, going into Dark World, getting some extra magic in Village of Outcasts, Skull Woods area. This also might be, banking on Skull Woods' great fortune. What did we get there last game? We got a flute. We got something. We're not going to Skull Woods quite yet. I don't blame him one bit. We're gonna, unfortunately, without that sword that's on Catfish, Andy's gonna have to lift up the bushes and hopefully not die to moblins before we get into the village.
Yeah, Andy, like there's mentioning in chat, Andy trying to freeze and burn. I mean, he's close if he does it to this red guard. I was gonna say he's gonna have a bad day. Oh, we're buying an item. Perfect.
Oh, okay. Good thing that the moblins are the hearts prize pack, because this entire situation here is terrible. Oh yeah, you can get the red shield. That's great. That's gonna be another bingo square off.
Okay, he's got Zora.
Ooh, interesting though. Hearing
Jim thinks it's Zora.
Commentary. Exactly. Yeah, not necessarily the curiosity shop.
What's funny is though he did spend $500.
He did, yes, that's true. I'm actually, man, if that ends up kind of maybe, overplaying on Jem's mind though, because if he thinks Andy's got Zora, he's like, okay, I'm not going to go to Zora. And then if there's actually important things on Zora, then that might be a little scary, but we'll end up seeing what happens.
I'm so surprised that Andy has not done the burn an enemy, freeze and burn an enemy thing here. He has both items, easy to forget, I assume. But maybe it clicks for him.
Is that actually on the thing?
What happened there?
I thought it was.
The bowl. We have a burning
freeze and burn the same enemy.
Yes,
row 4,
right.
column 1.
Yes.
So
I see it absolutely. Thank you, Sigma, as well.
Oh.
That's actually a really good point. And, as you mentioned, right, this happens to, everybody, especially when you're trying, Andy and Jem, by the way, in early Dark World, 16 minutes in, 3 hearts, green mail. You probably have other things that you're trying to think about, like, trying to do the easiest room of the game. That's not actually the easiest room of the game. Oh my god.
That dude is coming.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh.
No, he's just squeezing in.
Oh my.
I didn't know he could do that.
Oh my gosh, Andy gaming here. Okay, easiest room of the game. Nobody can come into. Oh my god.
He's just hosed. He can't do anything about this. Oh, he's got a fairy. He can take the death.
Fairy. Okay. I cannot believe
the
pains and tribulations that have gone to this thing for Andy to be able to survive this room.
Absolutely incredible.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, at least he was able to take the elevator back, the quick ride back, because we don't have a mirror. He probably doesn't want to death warp again, even though he's very able, because you, again, only has 3 hearts.
Mm-hmm. All right, heart container for Jim in the first chest of Dark Maze, or second, depending on which way you enter. Second chest in here, $300. That's very welcome to find.
Oh yeah, money is great. By the way, Muffins mentioned that there was lamp and Rupee basement. That happened in game 1. Like, really?
It did. So.
Oh, all right. Literally back-to-back C's here for actual PRNG. Yeah, but as you mentioned, though, Jem does have in this case a little bit of an earlier lead, because he was able to get the early Dark World goals out of the way. Andy, though, that burn and freeze enemies is kind of lying in wait there. He hasn't done it, which means he can't mark off the square. And when he does, I think it's also, it's a good point that maybe in this case Jem's gonna be like, oh well, where's the fire rod? Where's Bombos?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll get him to check things again.
All right, let's see. Does Jim do Chicken Hut here?
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh,
so
this might be race game.
This might be Smith as well. This might be race game though. This might be race game because I was even thinking it's like Jem thinks that Andy hasn't gone over to Catfish, and if he sees like the burn and freeze enemy thing, and he sees Bombos later in Chicken Hut, it's like, okay, where's the fire rod? It has to be out here somewhere. We got a little bit of extra cash here. Certainly a warm welcome, you know, especially in this case, Andy's got chess game as well. It's gonna go to, oh
The
my gosh,
hook
that is the
shot.
hook shots.
That's
Okay.
very huge. That's been available for quite some time. Logically, now we can get up there. We've already been to the mountain, but that's going to open up at least 7 checks, maybe more, depending on how far you want to go into Hera for Jim.
Oh yeah, yeah, and we have no mirror, so we really can't, you know, kind of, you know, shortcut ourselves over
This
to
is great.
Hera.
Andy's gonna
But
think this is in
I
part.
mean,
Andy has
There's
realized
nothing there except for the
and has
map.
done it.
we are, by the way, not going to race game, as you might have seen that Jem, you know,
He's got
found
free
the
score,
hook
that's
shot. He's got the hook. Okay, yes. But yeah, okay. Well, actually, this is gonna be good. Yeah, so that's right. I actually didn't even realize that this was a goal. This was also goal in game 1 as well. Is we're gonna lift the pot in the hookshot pot key or cave. So
Oh, Andy taking to death there. The low health and just the Zizak playing hide and seek with him.
yeah, yeah, and the fact that, you know, Andy, you know, still doesn't have a sword. I mean, we actually do see the dangers, right, of being able to go too fast. You know, the shield, unfortunately, is not the defensive item we're looking for when we got the boots. You know, we need a swingy thingy. Even though Andy spent $500, you know, buying that really nice red shield.
I mean, you could swing the shield if you want, but
I would like the button combination to do that, please. Please help me.
yeah, make this like Link's Awakening, where I could just like
Well, it's
push
true.
enemies
Yeah,
back.
I forgot.
Cane
Yeah,
for
alright.
Jim up here in Paradox, as well as a
There's
shovel.
no dig,
Oh, was there a
right?
diggle? I think that was in there last time.
It
but
was the
probably-
last game. Not sure about this one, but getting pod keys. Jim commenting on that as he has already been there.
There's no dig up items.
Are you Jim
Also,
confirming?
mention-
No dig up.
Yes. I was also going to mention that we did also find a whole heart container in Paradox as well that brings
think
up
that
Jim to
immediately got me
5 things. And I think
something
Andy actually just got a
bottle.
refill from brewery. So good to see in this case we got a little bit of extra health at least going, you know, both for Andy and Jem. So they aren't necessarily just like fragile glass cannons, even though glass cannons are more powerful than a fighter sword and swordless. But you know,
Right.
details.
You know,
Alright.
it just dawned on me, and Andy's headed here. I don't think anybody's done Mini Moldorm Cave.
I think you're absolutely correct. Oh my gosh, you are right. I think Jem has done the dam. That's where he got his book from, in order to go into desert. But yeah, Mini Moldorm though, maybe I don't think anyone has shortage of bombs, but it certainly probably had better things to go do.
All right, 10 arrows in the first chest of Hera for Jim. Gonna Hera pot up. Small
Yeah,
key
more
to
pot
pod.
keys.
More maps. I'm not sure if that's a goal. Thieves small.
Ooh, interesting.
Love to see that.
Yeah, we don't have Thieves big, so you know, Thieves Town itself is maybe not looking super attractive in terms of, you know, dungeon completion quite yet. But once we get there, though, I mean, with the small key, we're gonna be able to take out everything, especially with that hammer. All right. Well, it looks like, you know, Andy, knowing that he has not done Zora, he just bought the Ridge Shield from the Curiosity Shop for 500 rupees. Well, okay, unless he gets money here, he can't do Zora. And you might be taking a peek.
Ooh,
That was pretty close, though.
he's close. All right, Jim taking on Moldorm. Has hammer, has a sword. So should be all good as Moldorm begins to blow up. He's going to get a dungeon prize as well as 20 bucks, and it is a crystal.
That's good.
Okay, so that is certainly one out of the 3 that we needed for the lower right-hand corner.
There are no compasses
Left-hand
on
corner.
this.
I can
Two
definitely
maps,
say
one
left and
compass
right.
so far.
There is an obtain 3 crystals goal,
Like,
so
we have
that
the
is at
best
least something
compass.
towards that. Also, thanks for chat also bringing up that we actually do have a map and compasses goal as well in the 4th row on the right-hand side. So thank you so much for keeping track of the maps and the compasses.
And we're really close to it, according to
was.
some folks in
Swear.
chat. Andy's got 4 maps and 3 compasses. Unsure about Jim. I can see on his tracker
Okay, as soon
there's
as I
at
get
least
matches,
2
We
maps.
come back here and
Yeah,
I
2
buy
maps. Oh,
models
he has
first.
actually tracking compasses as well. We actually do see that really nice Thief Sound compass that was marked. I do remember seeing that as well.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's actually gonna be pretty nice, you know, for Gem. Yeah, unfortunately, I think just with Andy's tracker, it probably doesn't mark everything. It doesn't mark the maps and
flute
compasses.
is over
But
here
yeah,
in Saha.
That's just you know, easy sphere 1. It is actually sphere 1 or 0 or whatever because we don't even need bombs in order to go get that. We just needed the boots, which we start with.
3 maps.
All right, Andy gonna dive eastern here. This is new information for us. No big key unless it shows up in here. So he won't be able to complete this.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think we saw, at least in game 1 when Gem went here, he just did the first 3 checks. No even vanilla big key chest. I mean, you know, going to vanilla big key chest at the Eastern Palace. I mean, that's like a minute. It's worth the time commitment. I don't know if you want to make it. Maybe Andy's kind of looking for more, you know, things to go get. Again, just like game 1, you know, where are these myths that we are, you know, kind of are still pretty loose. Oh, we get a sword in Eastern as well. If nothing else, that is going to make Andy's rest of the seeds life much, much nicer.
Well, things are funneling down for Jim, right? He was talking about getting whatever it was on Ether Tablet.
Yes, you see Jem's nice reaction. He's like, oh, I can't believe 2 for 2, man.
But yeah, like, there's a much higher probability of Jim getting that second sword there in Eastern than Andy getting the catfish one at this stage.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Oh, so for what it's worth, there is a bring a follower to catfish. That's a center square. So if we find myths in this case, or yeah, we can either get the smith or we can take even the purple chest to catfish. That might incentive Andy to go over there again. But again, it's pretty slow even to get to catfish. So I agree with your assessment that it's probably not going to be very high on Andy's priority.
All right, so looks like the thing's spoiling us a bit. There's a 6th one for Andy, or a 5th one rather.
Okay,
so,
sounds good. Yeah, Eastern definitely paying off quite well for him, for sure. Right, we got a sword in Eastern. We got the last map in this case. We got for Andy. So 1 bingo square and 1 weapon. Really can't ask for much more. And we got a flute in Saha, which Andy is actually going to look like to go activate immediately. Makes a lot of sense. Andy is still missing that book, though, from the dam that he has to drain. That being said, he does have a flute. Maybe this will actually be his quick access to go get the flute and, you know, do the dam kind of immediately. You know, I know that some people like to be able to combine things, you know, with going to Swamp Palace, but I mean, you know, this is bingo. Like, it's probably not worth it for you to to wait for that long, unless you just kind of have Swamp Palace access immediately, and that mirror is kind of MIA right now.
It is, for sure. All right, so Jim going to be checking some things. I think Andy's already done these. So we're going to be kind of covering each other's footsteps a bit. Andy going to get his hook shot here when he pops down in here, kind of going to piece things together where Jim has found some of these items to complete these goals.
Looks like we actually got the same number of heart pieces on both Andy and Gem's side. We got a refill at the exact same location in the brewery. Main difference is that Gem has got at least 1 heart container out of Paradox. All right, yeah, we saw a really nice reaction on Andy's side with the eyes larger than normal and getting the hook shot. Now the wheels are turning, you know, in Andy's head. What is he gonna go do?
Yeah, where is he headed? Maybe flutes to 1. There's a lot of checks, but no, we are headed, looks like, to the pod area on Andy's side.
We are going directly to pod. Makes sense. You know, he's already done all of, well, what he wants to do out of Eastern. Probably doesn't want to do the vanilla big key chest for another minute. And we've got plenty of cash to get into pod. We've got the big key and 2 small keys and the bow and the hammer. Should be pretty easy access to the back.
And he's going to get the lamp. I mean, you know, assuming he does everything. But
I won't necessarily say that, you know, the lamp will like speed things up potentially, you know, for Andy and or Gem, although, you know, Gem certainly has his, he's quite adept at dark rooms, but it's the lamp is probably one of like the least important safeties, honestly, for both Andy and Gem at this point.
All right, so Jim heading out of Thieves, going to check C-shaped house. Andy diving into Palace of Darkness. Now, I know Jim came here with 1 key, so I'm not sure how much he did.
That is also a good question. I'm sure so I know he did the Bullock side for sure. Maybe he ended up doing... because that's where he got the cracked floor goal. Maybe the bridge chest? I guess we're gonna have to see.
Escape? Back of escape? What about back of escape, man?
Oh, we're hearing stuff about the back of escape. None of them have done that, right? Okay. It is actually kind of interesting. I mean, so I believe Gem is also called bingo routing, degenerate routing. All the things that you would normally do in a regular seed, right? If you just play the seed, when you go, well, one, assuming you're kind of in South Kakariko, right? If you do gamble game, you would certainly go at least take a peek at Maze Race, right? You saw that Andy just drop straight in. Sometimes you don't even get the secret passage chest. You just, drop into Uncle and then leave.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that you would, just is slightly too far out of the way. And by too far out of the way, I mean like 4, pixels worth of, space, right? That's too far out of the way for bingo.
All right, Jim gonna be able to go to the back
and...
here.
Okay, it looks like actually, all right, according to chat, Gem did the basement and we did Dark Maze. Oh, right, we did Dark Maze for sure because we got the lamp. Let's see in this case what Andy else wants to go do.
I can't wait for this eye roll here. I hope you guys are ready.
I think for what it's worth, the lamp was in Ruby Basement left last game as opposed to Ruby Basement right, but it's still pretty funny.
Completely randomized in a different way.
Absolutely.
Kind of bad about this, but now I'm gonna commit and kill.
Can I also remark though? I think that we got all pod keys last game. That's not in pod. I don't know what's gonna happen this game, but it is certainly uncommon for us to see. The memes are not alive quite as much here.
If this was a crystal.
Well, speaking of, we might get. Oh wait, it sounds like we don't actually know Skull was a pendant or a crystal quite yet. We are gonna take the gamble. That is gonna be a crystal, at least on Gem's side. That's gonna be another goal towards his obtain 3 crystal square.
Yeah, and keep in mind the Dark World dungeon per se goal is not a thing this time, unless I am overlooking it.
No, I also don't see it either.
Red potion that I will use. If it becomes dangerous at all.
I do actually see defeat an Aghanim goal though too. So we are surprised. Okay, with the equipment combined between Andy's sword in Eastern and Gem's sword from Catfish and the lamp, of course, we can't actually go beat Aghanim. That is gonna be like 4 minutes worth of investment though. Maybe they're gonna try and wait for that goal.
Yeah, I would try to put it off. So like even now, I'm trying to think. Andy gonna be. Okay, he's not going to right side or East Death Mountain. Just trying to think what he might be getting. But there's not a whole lot left between the two. So where's our progression?
Yeah, that's a great question. Some big ticket items are really still missing. I hope Gem doesn't die.
Oh, we got him to the enraged phase.
I can't.
That's unfortunate.
That is. You know what? We're gonna break out some copium right now. This is definitely a pendant. Okay, nobody actually has to go, and there's nothing on Moth ever. Just saying it now. Gem can go find another Dark World dungeon, or if he decides to go back, we're gonna go straight back and say, of course, it was worth going back.
I guess Andy is gonna come fight Moth too. So Jim a little, I don't want to say on tilt, but obviously a little frustrated given how that Moth fight went. But I mean,
yeah, for sure.
As long as it's not progression, Andy's gonna do the exact same amount of time, and if he completes it, he's got a cutscene too. But if it's a pendant, that's really good for Jim.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, just kind of checking the board. There is no like open GT big chest or pull. Actually, never mind. There is a pull pedicle. It doesn't matter. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure.
Ether in back of escape as well as $70.
Are we gonna go see our great friend Frederick today? It looks like we are going to sadly see and not see our friend. But the good news is that Gem does not have bombos, which is apparently still sitting in Chicken Hut, and so he cannot get the satisfaction of burning the rats.
I'm surprised he did not burn Frederick with the fire rod, but I guess it's not quite the same.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, this is a very serious, bingo lockout competition. It probably can't necessarily afford the memories here.
Yeah, that animation takes a while. All right, Andy's turn on Moth. Will he have a better time? Looks like he has so far. Does take a hit. Spike's starting to float around. Things getting a little out of hand. But, Andy taking a big hit here. This is where it gets kind of sketchy. Maybe you pull your fire rod out. Oh, baby. Does he have a goo? Has the fire rod ready to roll.
Yeah, and we also did see that from Andy's inventory. He got a green potion from Waterfall Fairy. So, I mean, like, if his shots kind of run low, he can always use that. But Andy takes Moth down. Very well done.
All right,
Kinda a bit
only 20
scary there.
bucks. And it is a crystal.
All right,
so
it
that's
is a
kind of
crystal.
that's only partially bad for Jim. It's not the end of the world.
Where are mids?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, and again, that is kind of like the nice thing about bingo as well. You know, depending on kind of like what you end up finding, you can actually get the gold differently. We actually see that, you know, game 1, Andy ended up getting 3 crystals before Gem because he got Eastern, Skullwoods, and Pod. And you know, Gem was able to, in order to get some other Dark World dungeons if he wanted, he got Thieves Town, Pod, and I think Skull as well, right? So you know, still it's always a race to, you know, to these squares. It doesn't always have to be the, you know, the same dungeons.
Right now, and both of those things suck.
I agree, Jim. Both things that you just listed suck.
I mean, well,
That's
where
what's
would
so
you
fun
go,
about watching
Andy?
this. Like, you go to the sucky location. I mean, that's what you do in bingo. Like, you just do what's terrible. You get your Waffle House emotes from Matt's channel in the chat here from
well done,
Andy doing a nice Waffle House. All right, this is going to be Master Sword for Jim. Here we go in Eastern. So he'll have a couple of... I think I'm bailing. He's got a couple of goals right after that, and he gets some guaranteed points on the board. You don't know where Andy is at this point. He hasn't marked anything in a while.
Oh yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, yeah, so the second sword is going to be Gem's Aga entry. There is a defeat Aghanim on the board. What else in this case can we go do?
Okay, and that's me get the bottles.
Now,
I'll
yeah, he's going to continue, he says.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oh, right, I totally forgot about Ether Tablet, which actually, yeah, Andy, with the flute, I mean, he still has not been to the dam, which is where the book is.
So the other thing to think about, like, if you're Jim, okay, he got 1 sword on Catfish. You know, the kind of meta with this tournament, with Lockout, is when you get something on Catfish, you kind of expect your opponent to not get it, more often than not.
Oh, yeah, especially in this case where, in this case, both Andy and Gem are missing myths, right? And Andy has not done the bring follow to Catfish, right? So yeah, you're pretty, I think it's very, very reasonable and pretty confident to say that Andy, in this case, from Gem's perspective, has not been a Catfish.
Yeah.
All right, well, Gem is actually continuing on Eastern Palace. We are doing the Eastern Palace Big Key Chest. We're going to take the extra minute or so to actually make this investment. Very, very interesting. Well, meanwhile, though, Andy is looking to get his second crystal on Mokula.
Or maybe it's 4. But even then, it's close
Or is this a
enough.
pendant?
I think this is a crystal. Jim has this.
Oh, right. Okay. Imagine
So-
me knowing how to read Gem's tracker.
Andy's picked up a couple of extra pod smalls. I'm kind of wondering if Andy's just gonna beeline pod right after this and hope.
And actually get the third crystal.
Yeah, hope it's a
that
crystal.
Makes a lot of sense.
I mean, if you're Andy, you kind of need that goal. You know, especially with the time you've already invested in Moth.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so just an armor. So Jim not getting, or rather Andy not getting burned by skipping that. They swap positions.
Oh yeah. But yeah, certainly Andy is looking in to be a pretty good position to get, you know, the 3 crystal goals. It's like Gem's gonna stop off and at least maybe buy a little bit more safety. Oh, right, this is actually, as Burfchick mentioned, this is gonna be the goal to get all 3 potions or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can go back to Ether Tablet. Unfortunately, Mir is still MIA, so we're gonna have to still go up. You know, just we saw Andy do earlier and Gem did very early on. We're gonna have to go to Hera or
The long
Ether Tablet
way.
rather. Oh yeah, the most scenic you can possibly get.
Yeah, Jim's like in such a solid spot. He's literally getting ready to hit 10. It's like super quickly. I say quickly, but you know, it's relative considering Aghanim's going to be a little bit slow, which puts him at 11 because of the Apple, you know, conundrum or paradox, I guess.
Yeah.
They both have it until someone does it.
Yeah, we're also, of course, just like kind of like game 1, we're still looking for those very elusive myths. That is gonna let both Gem and Andy get into Ice Palace, so they can go and pull the tongue just like last game. We also have Samari as well, so it should be a relatively, quick entry. Now, whether or not, no, I see both Gem and Andy have 0 Ice Palace small keys, while there is a open 6 key doors in Ice Palace. Maybe not necessarily want to wait for that, especially if you get an early square marked off the bingo board.
All right, is this I guess this is Spec Rock. I'm not sure if Andy's done this. This might be new.
Yeah, this might be new, but okay. Yeah, because
are the
like Spec Rock and Spec Rock Cave are also not, very convenient.
Jim should have enough for this. Yeah, he should have enough. All right, and chat confirmed, and Andy did check this earlier.
Okay,
That's fine.
Good.
Yeah, so Andy headed to pod, so he's going to get another point on the board here, assuming this is a crystal. We don't know for sure yet.
Yeah. Even I think on Gem's side, we don't know.
He'll be fine here.
He should be fine. Brute forcing your wave with potions and life only. No invincibility item is so great. Yeah, as you called it, Andy with 3 additional more pod keys, I think, right? He's going straight back over and going to be Helma. I think we'd actually get the rest of the stuff as well. No big key chest, harmless Hellway, whatever in this case Andy wants. But I mean, he's definitely gonna
it's a square, but it
rush
so
Helma. At least that's what I expect, because again, this is going to be his 3rd crystal, and he needs to get the crystal goal before basically getting the rest of the items.
And Jim is actually considering Aga right now, and his kind of talking to himself here, but he is going to check this. If this is progression, it's just, icing on the cake, but it's just 10 arrows. So, all right, he's not doing Aga, he says. He doesn't, maybe he feels like he doesn't need it just yet.
Yeah, very, very possible. This is also one of the rare instances, I think, at least in Bingo, where Gem has actually checked Lumberjack, despite having one seat where the hammer was there.
Oh my god.
Never got the hammer.
And you come back.
Hilarious. All right, well, we're gonna see in this case if Gem's actually gonna go buy Zora item. We know that Andy spent 500 on the red shield from the Curiosity Shop. Gem had mentioned before that he thinks that Andy bought Zora. We're gonna have to see. Yeah, and Andy also didn't have enough money when he came up here, so...
Andy bought Zora, so I will not go over there.
Okay,
he's not doing it.
We're not buying Zora. Okay, the good news for Gem is that the Zora ledge won't burn him, because I think it was just something like 20 rupees or something. But yes, if there's something important on Zora, that might be only Andy to get.
Is there progression there? We don't know.
Yeah, we also is
this a crystal in pod? We don't know, but we're gonna find out that a little faster than we are Zora.
Now watch Hobo have some progression.
He does a big chest.
Small key to Meyer.
That is not progression, unless there's something in right side Meyer, in which case that's leads to progression, logically, but we do not need that key. Alright, but meanwhile though, this is moment of truth for Andy if we're gonna be able to we did get spoiled a little, I think. We saw the purple mark. Andy in this case did obtain 3 crystals, so we are done with that. I'm not actually sure what Gem would have maybe gone for if he had done Mothula, if he was able to beat Mothula. Like maybe he would have also rushed pod, I'm not sure, but that is definitely, another goal in the bag for Andy.
Oh, see, Jim doesn't have pod big. I want to say this is actually on Stumpy, so he's about to get it now.
You are absolutely correct. Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point. I don't know if there was another dungeon that Gem actually could have finished, even any dungeon, right? So actually, Andy was actually in a much better position.
That just means it's not in big game.
Alright, so it's gonna be Andy finishing up the checks and pod. Doesn't actually look super useful, but we're now done with that dungeon.
Has orphaned Harmless Hellway. Kind of a long check to get back to though in the back, so chose to go with the front there. He is gonna check his shovel now. Jim has already done this. And speaking of shovels, Jim farming up.
I am surprised he actually doing dig game.
Let's do Hyrule Castle. It's kind of sucks, but
Hyrule Castle. I think that's another thing we haven't seen anyone do.
The front of Hyrule Castle. I think you're right. Actually, this is a good point. Right. So and Andy had only done Uncle, and Secret Passage, and Jem has done the Back of Escape and Dark Cross, and he has not done the front yet. Whereas Andy, though, like I think he hasn't done Back of Escape, he hasn't Dark Cross, he hasn't the front of Escape. This is gonna be Zora, though, so moment of truth. We're gonna see what Zora has for us because, as you mentioned before, I don't really know where those. We need something else to kind of open up the rest of the seed, right? Mitts is gonna be a big one. Mirror is gonna be a good one.
If this is Mitts, this actually swings things heavily to Andy. How strong is that Solsky plot armor we've heard so much about?
Yeah,
but Jim very well
watching.
could get Mitts here in Hyrule Castle. It's the Mitts on Zora.
It's the Mitts! Oh my gosh! All right, Andy. As you mentioned,
where are you at?
Oh, all the metagame. You know, sometimes it's a blessing and a curse to be able to see the board, right, Jem? Okay, Andy. For the recap, hey, look, we found boots. For the recap, he went early to Dark World to buy the 500 rupee shield from the Curiosity Shop. When Jem saw that marked off on the bingo square, he immediately said, "Oh, Andy went to Zora, so I'm not gonna go to Zora." That was twice, and unfortunately, you know, for Jem, this is looking like an extreme uphill battle to fight here.
Come on,
Andy's
Jim, I want game 3. Come on, find a way.
Small.
I mean, so things could still be pretty interesting if maybe Jem finds like the mirror here in Hyrule Castle. That is going to be something else. Like he's going to be able to go to Swamp. But I mean, the myths certainly are going to be like the big ticket, you know, to open up. We got all of Dark Death Mountain. We've got the Mire area. You know, we've obviously got Ice Palace that Andy's going to go into right now, and he's going to go pull a tongue statue. Once he does that, Jem's going to know that there are myths out there somewhere. And based on basically where those myths, like the timing of those when this ton statue is coming, I don't know if Jem can figure out that's going to be Zora, because it's going to be somewhere that Andy has been to that he hasn't.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's like, oh well, Andy got Zora when he got the 500 from, you know, which was the shield, is, you know, I don't think he's going to think that the myths are there. Alright, that is tongue statue down for Andy, so that is 8 to 9. So Andy, yeah, gonna be able to, with these myths access, gonna try and get a little bit of extra, you know, his progression to more bingo squares is gonna be a little bit faster now.
Yeah, now Jim's gotta kind of think where.
Yeah, so you hear a little bit of his voice commentary. He's like, oh no, it might be Dick Spot. It's actually not there. I don't know if there's something that's gonna be, but we're really hoping in this case that Jem, of course, thinks that he can figure out it's gonna be Zora, but it's looking kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did get Quake at Dick Spot, so Sigma confirming that too. I do remember we did, like, both of them checked it.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah, that's actually true too. Yeah. So okay, well, I don't know. Okay, this is gonna be pretty interesting for Jem. We did in this case have the mirror.
Mirror is kind of huge, but it's not going to open a lot, and it's probably going to be a while before Andy gets that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still.
Well, right. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, we're trying to look for stuff that Jem can actually go do. That, you know, in this case, like the mirror opens up all the swamp in order to maybe try and get a couple more, you know, pieces of progression. Like, for example, you know, if we can get 2 Ice Palace small keys, right? You know, let's say maybe out of Swamp, or maybe like that's like mirror locked, right? We can actually, you know, make some more progress that Andy, chances are, is not going to be able to get. We still don't have that book, by the way, that Andy hasn't traded the damn for.
That makes more sense.
Unbelievable. I mean, and him not going into desert here, like, he's not going to get that mirror. He's going to have to save and quit out of here. Where is he going? He's got that Bombos. That's still in Chicken Hut for Jim.
Yeah, that's also very true too.
Unbelievable.
It's hilarious. Oh yeah, by the way, the fact that the mirror, yeah, I think you alluded to this, right? The fact that the mirror is in desert means that book is hard required to get into desert. We can't backdoor it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, he's probably going to go into desert here. I'm assuming for the tile room. Let's see, is that even a goal? Clear tile room, yeah.
Well, we can't get into desert, right? Without the book.
Oh yeah, he's got to get it.
Yeah, he
you're absolutely right.
Right? Yeah, right. Jem doesn't have bombos from Chicken Hut. That's Mire entry apparently. You know, also a little bit PRNG, and Andy doesn't have the book from the swamp, or sorry, from Sunken Treasure. Hilarious.
Like these are all 6 pot key lock. This is not.
I love bingo because it's like you get to route in the most idiotic way and hope it works, like more so than normal, like, you know, open races. But this is a new check for us to see here on Jim's side. Harmless Hellway is 3 bombs.
Open big chest, I guess, but it's bad. This is really bad. I go to Hero basement.
So Jim does have that Hera small. He just talked about Hera basement. I'm not sure where he picked that up.
That was in Hyrule Castle Boomerang chest.
Okay, so that was part of Hyrule Castle. That was when we were screaming about Mitt.
Right, yes, that's what we're... Oh my gosh. I really can't believe. Yeah, well, okay, you know, again, like, Gem has been in probably tougher situations than before. Again, you know, he, at that race, by the way, that he did not check Lumberjack to find the hammer, I believe he also still did win, for the record. So, you know, just because, you know, he doesn't have mitts, and he may not get mitts for quite some time. Yes, it is still possible. Never count, you know, anybody out for something like this.
Because Andy still doesn't have a way to do Aga. He's not going to go to Catfish. Like, he's just not. So he needs another sword to pop up. Okay, so Andy did burn one. All right, I got to update the scoring here.
All right, well, it's suddenly tied, you know, 9-9. You know, so certainly, yeah, so...
If this is something like progression-wise, although I'm trying to think, what could it even be that would help Jim? I don't really know. Maybe we have Desert Big. Eastern Big?
Yeah, yes, that is something that neither Andy nor Jem have done. We don't have the Eastern Palace big key. We can try and find a couple of Ice Palace small keys. That would open up 6 key doors in the upper left.
Yeah, Ice Small would be, you're right, would be huge here for Jim when he gets his mitts.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, so are all of the Dark World tile rooms all mitts locked? One in Turtle Rock, one in GT, one in Meyer. Yeah, they're all okay. Well,
not actually here. Where is it?
Small key 2 TR for Andy. TR something to think about. I mean, we can
get pretty far. It looks like both of them have Desert Palace, or not Desert, Turtle Rock big key, and Andy's with that 3rd TR key can certainly make it pretty far. But looks like this is going to be a swamp play for Gem. You know, makes a lot of sense. You know, we worked very hard in order to go get that mirror.
Doesn't have the swamp small, though.
Oh, good point. We're going to go check Bombo's tablet, apparently, instead. That makes a lot more sense. We could, in fact, we actually could check the first chest of swamp for what it's worth. Yeah. But that might be too much of a high commitment for Gem. But I guess we're gonna have to see. Like, he doesn't have a lot of stuff left. I mean, we really need him to go to Zora. That would probably help him out, like, the most. So we don't necessarily scramble as much in terms of trying to get the goals. But
he is running out of things.
Yeah, and he knows that Andy has the mitts. So, you know, maybe he's actually trying to figure out, in this case, like, where Andy has been.
There's any chance of getting me to win.
Oh, we do actually have the mirror, speaking of, though, so we're gonna go to check K45, which that was where the miss for last game.
It had progression. And we've seen the double up in this seed, or these 2 seeds more than once. Oh, this is Quake, so Andy can enter TR. Could beat it if he chooses to do so.
Yeah, that's true, actually. We do have everything that we got 3 keys, so we can, so long as we skip the vanilla big key chest or lava chest, where we can make it all the way to Trinex and by stealing the Poke Key.
What I'm really hoping is that we get kind of dual swords here, and eventually, like, they both have, like, Jim gets mitts, and then we could get something, you know, to just to have them dueling up Aga Tower.
Oh yeah, that'd be hilarious, actually. I mean, you know, last game, you know, we had a dueling tile room, desert tile room.
We did. Oh, big key here to Skull for Andy. So will he go? How many has he opened? He opened Meyer. He opened Ice. He opened Pod. So he's got 3. No need to beeline that yet.
He does not have Hera big chest, right? No one had the big key yet. They just
No one had
up
it.
a little bit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Another big key to Eastern for Andy. So now what do? He could do TR. He could do Eastern. Man, this is rough. Like Jim's
Yeah,
running out of
this-
stuff. He is gonna get Mitt soon, and then he'll be able to kind of put his foot on the gas, I think.
Yeah, and I think also things could potentially turn, you know, and Aga would also be on the table for Andy if he finds another sword. I mean, Andy's got a lot of stuff open to him, you know, the chance of that second sword, well, in this case, third collective sword showing up, you know, it's looking better and better. Especially, you know, since Gem is kind of knocking out some of the, you know, mirror lock locations as well. We haven't really seen anything that was useful. But you know, like the more locations that we've seen that the swords aren't, you know, means that the more the higher chances the sword's going to be somewhere where, you know, it's going to be discoverable.
Yeah. So is Jim gonna go? I think you have to go Zora. No, he's polluting away. Where's he going? Okay, I think we're just doing it this way. This makes sense. So he's gonna get his mitts here, and he's gonna be like omega frustrated and trying to figure out.
I don't think I did.
Right. We heard Gem in this case talking about scouting, you know, Zora Ledge. In this case, maybe there's a big key there. The hope, of course, for him is to, even if he sees that there's nothing on Zora Ledge, he is going to go continue to Zora, and they'll go buy his mitts. We are looking extremely positive.
Okay.
All right. For those of you who are rooting for Gem or that game 3, you know, that very hopium, you know, game 3. We're looking pretty big.
All right, let's hear this reaction.
All right, let's see this. Oh, you can feel the pain on Gem's side. You can also see the pain, and you can hear the pain on Gem's side. Poor guy.
The delayed onset.
It's okay, you know, send your well wishes, you know, and good thoughts to Gem. He's not, you know, he got himself right back in this game, you know, by getting those mitts out. And, you know, again, Gem with the Master Sword, you know, he's in, you know, very good position. You know, he's gonna be able to go get the follower to Catfish. Maybe one of the first things he wants to go do. He can rush Aga. That is an option for him. I don't know if he thinks that, you know, again, he said that he didn't want to do that earlier. Maybe it's not like the best play, you know, at the time, but, you know, 25 minutes later.
He's probably still thinking. He's still probably thinking Andy doesn't have a Master Sword. And if that's what he's thinking, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, so in this case, like, okay. Andy's certainly in a very good position to get open 6 big chests, right? Because we got a bunch of big keys from his side, and then including Tyra big key, looks like that's going to be, you know, push him over to 6.
Yeah, Jim's going to do this, take a follower to Catfish, which will further keep Andy away from that sword.
That's fucked up. That is so fucked up.
Is your stream family friendly, Dan?
You know, we don't. Whatever.
Okay,
it's
all right, well.
It's
okay. It's okay. You know.
Alright, so no Mimic Cave for Andy here either.
Well, he doesn't have the mirror. That's also kind of an issue. Yeah, so this is going to be one thing that he potentially can't get. The pot key is going to be useless to Andy. We're waiting to see Gem check Harmless Hellway. Just 3 bombs you mentioned earlier, so...
Yeah, here we go. Back to 10-9.
All right, that is, yeah, we finally got another square marked off of the bingo board. Gem does not need to die to Catfish this time around.
That's right.
All right, okay. Now, of course, we gotta send our Smith friend home. He actually will block you from many things that, even if you find progression in like regular rando on him, you still gotta, you know, kind of, you know, drop him off in this case.
Yeah, so I mean, Andy's like playing his outs, and at least what he's thinking are his outs, but he needs to just get the book. If he gets the book, he's in a really good spot. Jim kind of has, I think, a little bit of time, all things considered.
Yeah, so this actually might be Gem's like tile room play as well.
Yeah, and he's gonna steal that.
That's actually pretty confusing.
Yeah, that's actually true. So I guess, like, right, Andy has no entry into either Light World tile room, so he does not have the Hera Small from the front of Escape, and he also does not have the book, which he needs. But that's a Master Sword on Laser Bridge of Turtle Rock. That's gonna be Andy's Aga entry.
And Jim, Chad pointing this out, and I don't know if Jim mentioned it, but he can't do the tower room clubhouse.
You're right. You have no. I cannot believe. Turtle Rock. We're going to Turtle Rock to do tower room. I mean, that's gonna be the other option. Oh, this is hilarious.
I mean, when he sees, I think it was Bombos, wasn't it, or was it? It was Quake.
Oh, it was Quake.
So he will be able to get in.
Yeah. Okay. No Waffle House. Unfortunately, Jem's gonna have to go hungry this time in this game.
Yeah.
That's gonna be quite interesting though. Okay, so Andy is gonna finish off Trinex now. Probably get this pendant. Hopefully to get something useful. Now, if Andy decides to start the Aga climb before Jem, which he's got time for. Suddenly, man, I think Andy's gonna probably get himself back into a better position because like I said, like he has all the big keys, so he can actually probably open 6 big chests.
Yeah, he definitely can at this point, and I think he's up to 4 actually opened with TR big. So he's in prime position. Flute to 3, do Skull Woods, and then if he wants to beat Eastern or just go open it, he could do it.
Yeah.
So Jim's gonna be very pleased that it's not also Bombos.
Yeah, but I'm really so we think that Andy can go for open 6 big chests, right? And he can now do Aghanim. What are Jem's options after he clears his tile room? Is his only kind of option right now to go beat Aghanim? Like, so Jem already died to Mothula, and we know that it's a crystal. He could still go for the other pendants, but Andy's actually in a much better position to go get the pendants, because we just saw Andy beat Turtle Rock. Jem also does not have the 3rd Turtle small key, so Pet isn't really, I think, an option. And so
I'm actually a little shocked. No, I take that back. So Andy could do Eastern and Skull here and then be done. So he's probably gonna do Skull big and then save and quit, maybe go Eastern big, as well as turn in that green pendant. So I don't know, we'll wait and see.
I think Andy's like Quake and Master Sword maybe.
Yeah, and of course, keep in mind, we do actually see the chat pinned message. There is an eat an apple, consume an apple goal. That is by Jem and Andy's agreement is going to be the last goal that they do. So once basically a person gets a 12, that'll be their 13th.
All right, so Andy opening that for number 5. And I need to update this. Jim is up to 11.
Okay, let's hope he's not an Aghanim.
Yep, okay.
Jim in go mode now. Gonna go do Aga, and he is all set. This is Jim's to lose at this point, and looks like we're gonna get our game 3.
Oh my gosh, my hopium raise counter scale, whatever, is spiking. Go Jem, go. We are very much looking forward to. I personally am very much looking forward to a game 3. And for those of you who have the potential for having a game 3 later day, it unfortunately will not happen. It will be for a later day. They have already said beforehand that they do not want to do a triple header. Which, after these 2 bingo games, even though they're looking to be, roughly about like an hour each, a little, hour and change, it is incredibly stressful to basically be able to go through these things, and then, especially you got to change your course midway through. You see somebody marking off a goal, you got to turn, you got to change course.
All right, Andy opening his last big chest to give him 10 right here. Or rather, give him 6. So he is on his 10th point. But now, what do you do if you're Andy? You're probably thinking Jim's climbing Aga Tower.
So I win this.
Yeah, Jim metagaming. He knows that he's just got to do his thing here.
That's good.
Yeah, the fact that the bingo board also kind of tells you, right, like the fact that Andy just marked off the open 6 big chests, which means that he is not an Aga Tower, which means if Jem's already basically 2/3 of the way done with the climb, he's in a as he said, he's in a very good position.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're in a great position too, because we're gonna get a game 3 if all things go according to at least so far what it's looking like to be, as you mentioned, Jem's game to lose. Andy's gonna start his Aga Tower climb, also with Master Sword that he got from not Catfish, from Laser Bridge on Turtle Rock, but this case is gonna be a little bit too late for Andy.
I still can't believe Jim hasn't checked Bombos, or rather Chicken Hut.
Chicken Hut.
And I still can't
Entire
believe
game the whole time.
Yeah, I don't get it. And Andy's not done the dam. You know, it's crazy.
No.
But that's what bingo is.
It is.
All right, not Aga Tower or Aga Hall of Fame worthy there from Jim. But
It is okay, but because we saw Andy get the chest turn in Castle Tower, which is like the most important one, so you know, someone's gonna get a Hall of Fame picture.
yeah, does Jim know the post Aga trees for Apple?
That's a great question.
No.
I assume he's gonna save and quit though, and Mirror save and quit, go to Sank and get his apples there. Jem knows? Okay.
He should know because, you know, there's also the Apple Bapple tree if you absolutely need it. You know, from the NMG
that's
run.
real. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ari actually pointing out a good point. Like we just need, like maybe Jem can even skip the cutscene. You know, all this stuff if it's really just sort of.
All right, just a
This is when
couple
you
more
hope.
blue balls.
Yeah, but
Or
just
rather,
because you're hoping for no more
his.
blue balls.
Yeah. Andy probably about to see that square. He's gonna know the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, it's not looking. Yeah, Andy's definitely not looking very pleased with the fact that it was marked. All right, that is Aga down for Jem. That is 12 squares for Jem. And Andy was still unfortunately stuck in cutscene mode. Not even gonna beat Aga, which makes a lot of sense. There's no value, you know, in this case for, you know, Andy to go get. But yeah, we got the Apple Babble tree here in on the way from Three Musketeers, and that is big GG's to Jem taking on game 2, giving the fans what we want, a game 3. But big congrats for both Andy and Jem. Andy taking game 1, Jem taking game 2. What a set of matches, dude.
Dude, it was pretty insane, honestly. But here we are, 1-1, and no end in sight as far as when game 3 is gonna be.
Jeez, man.
All right, we'll see if we can get him in here for an interview.
Yeah, maybe let them catch their breaths, you know? Take another sip of, you know, Dr. Pepper from the gamer mugs. So sorry to disappoint, chat. They are not going to be doing a back-to-back-to-back game. Game 3 will be, you know, TBD. Let these guys take a break.
All right, let me pull them in here.
All right, sounds good.
Hello, gamers.
Yo, Andy, Jem, GG's.
Thank you. GG's, Andy. So Andy asked me where the book is, and the book is in the tab.
Oh,
the
nice.
planet item, I guess.
I forgot I hadn't done any of Escape. Damn, wasn't even on my radar.
Amazing.
Yo, Andy, where's Bombos?
Mini
Hold on
Bombos.
one
Is that what it is?
second. Let's find out.
No.
I don't remember. It was in Hyrule Castle Boom Chest last seed.
It was in Chicken Hut.
Oh, shit. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the degenerate bingo routing, man.
Yep.
It was pretty hilarious. Yeah, the whole game.
Yep.
I think so
Chicken Hut.
Andy, you could do the Dark World tile rooms, but you couldn't do the Light World tile rooms because Hera Small Key was also in the front of Escape, and you couldn't get into Desert, right? Because the mirror was also in Desert Big Chest, and you need the book. And then Jem couldn't get to Meyer Dark tile room because you know it's just like, oh man.
God.
So I assume you bought Zora when you marked the tile, right? Did you?
No,
Did you
I
get
didn't.
mids there?
That was the red
Okay.
shields.
This was
Okay, it
hilarious.
was the red shields.
If I had gotten the mitts when I clicked that, I feel like I would have smoked you. But
Yes, exactly. That's why I was so confused.
And then I got the mitts on Zor, and I was like, oh, what's going on in Gem's brain right now?
Yeah. Yeah, so you marked that tile, and like I was at Waterfall, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to Zora. If the mitts were there, he would have smoked me, so I'm going to Hobo instead.
Oh man. And then like I was already halfway up to Turtle Rock, and then I forgot the follower to Catfish was a tile, and I was like, I'm already all the way up here. Like I should probably leave, but Mirror will just be in the front of Turtle Rock, and I can just leave and go do my tile rooms, and everything will be okay. And then it was not okay. So
it's a Mirror in front of Desert, so that's kind of fun. Had to have that book. Just like there for the longest time, we're just like screaming at both of you, needing to do things that the other had done. It was pretty hilarious, honestly.
I was really surprised. Like I knew Gem was first to hook shot, and I was like, all right, well, Hook's got to be in pod area because he just clicked the bomb of floor in any dungeon, and so I like did South Shore to get an extra pod small key, hopefully, which I did, and I was like, all right, I can do pod. And then I pulled hookshot like right before pod, and I was like, oh, well, let's go do pod anyways, I guess. And I didn't beat pod there because I was like, all right, well, Gem has this hookshot like 10 minutes ago, so like there's no way I'm being first to 3 crystals. And then so I did pod and then front of Eastern, and then I got a sword in the first chest in Eastern. I was like, okay, maybe I can be the first 3 crystals. So I ended up going to Skullwoods, double dipping pod, and then beating Hera.
Yeah, we were wondering when you were getting your second sword, because Catfish had Jim's first sword.
Oh
so
God!
If you would have remembered the take a follower, like you'd have gotten that. But like I had written it off that you were just never going to Catfish. So the sword was just advantage was to Jim. It's so hard. I mean, you guys could speak to it more than I can, but like even sitting here watching you guys, I can hardly keep track of what goals are available to you. Like it seems almost impossible.
Yeah, it's tough.
I spend like most of the time not looking at my screen, but looking at the bingo board. So that's why I keep track of all the goals.
but yeah, this was both of these seeds. It was really funny. Me and Gem like flipped places from last seed, like where I took my book and went straight to Desert early, and then what was there was one that you did early last time that I did early this time. Oh, the Dead Rock and Igor kill.
Oh yeah, right.
I did that first, and I was just giggling to myself that we swapped places, and then I couldn't find where this fucking book was. Yeah, that was annoying, but this was a fun seed. These were both really good bingo seeds.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like a bajillion routing options. At least in the early and mid game.
Well, the question on everyone's mind: wins game 3?
We haven't discussed it at all, so we'll find out.
All right.
Soon, TM.
I'll let you know.
2026. Looking forward to it.
But yeah, thanks for comment, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for restreaming.
Yeah, thanks for racing, you two. GG's to both. I was hollering I wanted a game 3 because it's exciting, and Jim pulled it out. When you got mitts, I thought, oh, this is over. But then, luckily, Jim had done so much.
Yeah, even if I like do the bring follower to Catfish, this is still really close, and I don't know who wins.
Yeah.
I didn't have any Ice Palace small keys.
Yes.
I knew Desert was a pendant, but I didn't know what the last one was. If it was Thieves Town, I couldn't beat it. So it might have just been like go to GT for head or the big chest, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know who gets there first.
I think you had the advantage because the only dungeon I had cleared was Sarah. So you
Okay.
were, for either the pedestal or GT, you were definitely ahead.
Yeah, I just had the one. I had Turtle Rock Pendant and then 3 crystals. Oh. But yeah, that book was brutal. I can't believe I forgot the dam. I like had a list
gotta
of
have
like
more green
random light
squares.
worlds. There's a. Do you think I use a map tracker, bro?
Seriously?
That's what I meant.
I just had like a list of light world things that I hadn't done yet, and I was like, book's probably not at Agina. Like, why would Jem just dash over to desert for no reason and then just pull a book, right? I was like, maybe it's Ice Rod Cave. And then I was like, okay, well, I have the front of Hyrule Castle still. And then I remembered I had Back of Escape while I was like going through Turtle Rock, I think. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way it's not Back of Escape. And then I checked it after I lost. And I was like, wait, where is it? But, oh well. Game 3.
No, I did Back of Escape. I did Back of Escape like an hour. Well, I guess not an hour because we finished in an hour, but like 40 minutes into.
In Bingo, it feels like an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, then as I was going to Zora to get my bits, I remembered, oh, I haven't done mini mode on Cave yet. One of it's just there.
That's where I assumed the book was going to be. I was like, oh, Jem just did like mini Moldorm Cave, got the book, and went straight to desert. But then I got a pod small. So. But yeah, GG's, Jem.
Yeah, GG's.
I'm going to go get some
Looking forward
lunch.
to Game 3 of this. Hope Game 3 will be just as cool.
Hopefully.
Like another good bingo seed.
Yeah. Not
That's
like
what we all
any of the
want.
seeds that I got against the lane, where it was like Dark Aga, both seeds, and whoever did that first just kind of won.
Mm.
But
I think both of
yeah.
the seeds against GFE were like that. At least one of them. It's really dumb.
The second one was way worse than the first. The second one was Pearl on Pyramid. And then just like mitts immediately after for all the rest of the goals that were available.
Yeah, it was kind of a jet.
But right, I will talk to you guys later. We'll get this scheduled nice and quick for the fans.
Hope you.
Hope you. All right, have a good one, guys. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you guys
Thank you
again.
so much.
Yeah, thanks guys for the restream and the comps.
Oh yeah, thanks. Thank
Looking forward to
you.
watching it back. Some great commentators here.
It was a lot of fun watching. Yeah, you get to listen to us yelling at you too, especially in game 2. Go to Chicken Hut and go to the dam. Go to Zora. Oh man, that was
Amazing.
opium. All right, yeah, but way to pull it out. Yeah, we got a game 3. Looking forward to both of it. Yeah, thank you. You know, Andy is gonna go get some food, but thank you guys so much for racing. Dante, thank you. Yeah, took the time.
Yeah.
Restream this, commentate this. It was a blast.
Yeah, I'm glad we had the opportunity. I'm gonna go get back to work, I guess.
Yep, same.
And hope to see you guys for game 3. I'm gonna try and restream that one if it's available to do so, or if I'm available and all that. So we'll see how things go. But for now, I am gonna send you guys over to Scottish Brave. She is getting ready to do a redemption seed from her chat, so I'm assuming it's probably gonna be a little memey. Who knows? Go show her some love. And yeah, there might be a restream later tonight here for the Mystery Pog Championship Tournament between Matt7898 and Kaysden. I'm going to try to get that live for you. Not sure who's going to be on commentary just yet. But, if you hadn't followed here and you want to see some Mystery Pog, this is another way to do so. And you can check out some cool runners. But Clear Mouse, thanks again. And you guys have a good one.